It is your prisonplanet.tv memberships that fund so much of what we do here on this operation. And then we're more than happy for the TV show after it's aired live, then be leaked out onto the web to tens of millions of people. That's our goal. I just got here in the studio about 2 minutes ago, and I just almost basically could have gotten killed out on the highway. So that's why I don't have a new hairstyle. This is what my hair looks like. I just comb it straight back, drive into the office, and then usually comb it before I go on air. Now I've got the Pentecostal preacher look, got that nice shaving nick. If you're a radio listener, we're simulcasting on TV is why I'm not engaged in some type of narcissism. Really, this is just a prop for my story that just happened. I'm driving into work. I'm already late because I usually get ready at home, but I usually get here about an hour to 30 minutes before. But it's about 20 minutes out. I'm very close to the office, and it looks like a city refuse truck, not a trash truck, but I see this big piece of plastic flapping in the back. They harass the private truck drivers. They have dust on the bumper. They give them $500 truck police fines, and we've done reports on that in the past. But, of course, the city health department can have 3-foot grass and falling down walls, and city council people are exempt from zoning stuff with their projects. I've done countless reports on that. It's the same all over the country. The globalists are exempt from all their own regulations. So I'm driving about 70 miles an hour. I'm in the slow lane. I'm coming up to my exit, and I start looking at this big black and white piece of plastic. And I'm sure construction people know what it is. It's white on one side, black on the other. It's like 10 times stronger than normal trash bags. And it's like 50 feet wide, 20 feet wide, about 50 feet long. Like a movie, it flies out, goes like 100 yards, because I don't follow close, or 200 yards, perfectly going over the front of my Ford F-150 pickup truck. I don't see anything. It's like something Batman would hit. And then it just releases this thing, comes out and opens up and on the front, and I'm like, and by the grace of God, I'm driving, I'm slowing down. I'm slowing down. I'm going, okay, just keep it straight, slow down. It's all around the windows. I can't see anything. Man, I wish I had surveillance footage of this. I bet cops are listening. They can go pull it. And so there's plastics on the front of the car, and by the grace of God, that only happened for about 4 or 5 seconds, and I'm already starting to slow down. It flies over the top, but ties up around the windshield, the mirror, the passenger side mirror, and is hanging out under the truck. So I drive off, and cars don't slow down. They're almost running into me. They're flying past me. People have death wishes out there. And then I've got to, like, get the plastic off the vehicle, and then people are looking at me as I walk off with this big pile of plastic on the side of the road. I'm not putting it in the back of my truck and driving with that flying back out on somebody. And then I exit again, and then, oh, wait, something's trailing. There's a piece of it flapping like 50 feet out the back. So then I turn off into some office park. This is an industrial area. People are staring at me, fishing it out. I leave that on the side of the road. Some guy, some air conditioner place is staring at me like I'm littering. I just knew a cop was going to say, "What are you doing littering?" And I'm just going to blow up. I mean, anyways, so that's just what happened. And so I was already going to play this. April Fool's is coming up, but I'll just give you a heads up right now. I am endorsing gun control and gun confiscation, and we're going to play that special report. It's pretty powerful that Darren McBreen and I put together coming up after this quick break. And actually, I can't even run out of here during this, though, because this is great for radio, but part of it, a couple minutes in, has to be narrated because it's scenes of robbers robbing people and then being shot or driven off. So, well, I'll have a couple minutes. I'll have a couple minutes to run out of here. You know what? I should really play this at the bottom of the hour. I don't know. I can just go with the must look and the shaving cut. Like the butt cut Alfred E. Newman look. I mean, I don't think that's a problem. I'm going to go try to comb my hair during the break. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. I did some preparation for about 3 hours at home, but now there's a bunch of crazy news. It's all on Infowars.com. And we'll be right back after this quick break. I'm your host, Alex Jones. So stay with us. We'll be right back. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. This is a Twilight Zone episode of the radio broadcast. Driving into work today, a giant piece of plastic blew out of a refuse city truck and enveloped my vehicle, and I was blind. It almost had a wreck, and no one seemed to care. Everybody just went along their merry way, just like no one seems to care that tyranny is taking over, or a woman can be raped in public and left to bleed to death in the street of Toronto or New York, and no one helps them. It just shows a nation, a world of mesmerized lemmings that don't see themselves as actually affecting the world, but see themselves as spineless creatures. People would go about their business on any front, unless the mainstream media says something's a big issue, and then people are very freaked out. I mean, there's even a lot of, quote, mainline conservatives that are like, we better turn our guns in. The Southern Baptist Convention, the Vatican officially says ban the Second Amendment, turn all your guns in. And it's of the Lord to do it, of course, and because of the children of Sandy Hook. And everyone says you're cowardly, you're degenerate. Everyone in Hollywood, basically, if you don't turn your guns in, well, they have bodyguards and own guns. But, oh, it's not scary when the government has guns and are the only ones with guns. And forget logic and common sense. It's an enemy. It's a menace. It's a big problem. It doesn't matter that Switzerland has the lowest crime rate in the world. It doesn't, because they have total gun ownership. It doesn't matter if we're close to total gun ownership. It doesn't matter if the United States, since guns have reproliferated since 1991, has had a 49% drop in violent crime rates, FBI statistics. None of that matters, because we are collectively guilty. And we've now got the Shepard Ferry guy who got caught lying about copyrights and things, and reportedly. He's come out and said that basically you're a Satanist if you own guns. Unless the government has them, or when he's promoting Mao Zedong or Che Guevara, mass murderers, they're allowed to have guns. Just not anybody who's for freedom. No, whoa, that's Satan. And he's got that new poster out. That's up at Infowars.com. There's a big article about that today. Just an example of their incredible hypocrisy. Let me show you who's scary having guns. Let's punch up drudgereport.com right now for TV viewers. Radio listeners can go there. The little swollen, pudgy-faced guy who couldn't fight his way out of an invisible paper bag, couldn't fight his way out of a flock of butterflies flying his direction. That would blow him over. And in fact, just the thought of a breeze would blow him over. But now he's all basically possessed, now all crazy-eyed, with maps demanding where the missiles be targeted, and where he mainly demands they be targeted. This is no April Fool's early, ladies and gentlemen. He is demanding that Austin, Texas be targeted immediately. I love it. Oh, my gosh. I had this thought. Because I know I've read the MO on this guy just a year ago. He was in Switzerland and basically pampered there at some ultra elite bubble school for the elite's children, and then he's obsessed with Hollywood, obsessed with pop culture, and obsessed with him in the press. And I've talked about what a degenerate, weak, ugly coward he is. I've talked about how I know the globalists are corrupt and evil and are using North Korea through China, who the globalists manipulate to heighten tensions. But that is, look at the photo. Let's punch it up. The psychopath generals, every one of them, a picture tells a trillion words of just how pathetic they are. Look at the dope next to him with some, like French field marshal de Gaulle hat on. Those are the missile commanders in their little outfits. They just look like complete lunatics. And you got to remember, these guys literally, the main food staple is babies over there, and millions a year starving to death. They break up the families at birth and then breed humans like animals in their own words, and take the children like eggs that you take from a hen. This is the god of the state. All of you that believe in the state, here it is. They can't even make their own cars. When they have military parades, there'll be like 3 vehicles, and it'll be 57 Chevys they bought through third parties. I mean, routinely the limo will break down that he's in. And, I mean, it's just total la-la land with a bunch of crazy perverts with machine guns oppressing their people who are basically like in the 17th century. Many sociologists compare it, well, they call it the Hermit Empire. I mean, it's just la-la land. Only 2 cities have energy part of the time now. You can see that from satellite. And it is just lunatic land. And he is seen in the state-run videos and photos commanding where he wants the missiles to hit. And I just had this weird thought when I was talking about, because we make fun of him a lot, and it's viral, and people see it all over the world that he's probably watching the show. You will die someday, you little coward. Just like your degenerate father and his degenerate mass-murdering father, okay? You little piece of trash. And of course, I mean, Austin's such a military target. I got a gut feeling that the little turd watches this show, and that's good. Reportedly, he also is very upset about things like Team America. As pathetic as your dad was, you're even more pathetic. And Dennis Rodman is a traitor to humanity because everyone knows North Korea is the personification of joke evil. But it's not a joke for those they're killing and torturing and feeding off of, literally. Okay, but you are the god of the state, and look how pathetic you are. And look at the manifestation of the hereditary king. They already call them royalty. They already call them gods over there. That is royalty. Kim Jong-un is royalty. So all of you that worship Queen Elizabeth II and all those degenerates and Prince Charles, you're just as pathetic. But because their line goes back to Transylvania and some of the oldest German bloodlines out of Transylvania over 1,000 years ago and 700 years ago, turning back the Muslim invasion in the Crusades. That's why the Saxe-Coburg-Gothas are the dominant global bloodline. They've even knocked out the other 2 bloodlines. Is because they were the dominant frontline groups that were the continued war zone during the Muslim invasions. Say southern Spain was as well. History's just amazing. I don't know why I'm going off into a story about that. And so 700, 800 years later, the world is basically run by these people. But they're smart. They act like they don't have power because they do have power, just like the Rothschilds. They've sued newspapers who say they're secretly puppet masters that own all the big Russian oligarchs, and then it comes out that they basically do in court. Blew up in their face. So it shows there's still some justice in the courts, I guess, somewhere. But, I mean, going back to this, unhinged, Kim to bomb D.C., oh, boy, L.A. and Austin. Number one, their missiles can't even hardly get to Japan. I mean, technically, they've got designs that are supposedly able to hit the West Coast. If they fire them one direction, they can also try to fire them over the poles, maybe hit Chicago, maybe hit Detroit, maybe hit, and I've looked at the missile maps. Number one, they can't, even if the missile worked perfectly, which they can't even get them off the launch pad properly. They could not hit L.A., it's too far south, and they could not certainly hit Austin. Austin's about the furthest target, except maybe Florida, from North Korea there is. I mean, it is just absolute. I mean, look at that person. Look at him sitting there with the personification of Paper Tiger, picking the targets on North Korean news. And there's no need for them to even send out video, though they send out some, because most people don't even have televisions there. By the way, I've read some of the translations. They also put out an English version once a week. You can listen to it on shortwave. I actually found it once, then found it online. North Korean radio. And they say he makes the birds sing. And of course, wouldn't our government like to be like North Korea? Well, that's what it's striving for. It's what it's wishing to be. Look at this. Sex change operations covered under Obamacare. Isn't that just a special? It's on the Washington Examiner. And it's like that in San Francisco everywhere. But if you're an old lady and don't pay your property taxes because you can't, they're going to come and throw you out of your house and take it and sell it. But don't worry, sex changes. There's a big stack of articles with illegal aliens, not just in the Carolinas, but other places are being given driver's license and are legal now. And as a bunch of senators, Chucky Schumer and others, McCain, were on the border, illegals were coming over the fence while they were there. I mean, I live in Texas. Anytime I go to the border, it's just illegals going back and forth in front of Border Patrol. And the Border Patrol walks over and goes, "Got any beer in your truck?" And I'm like, man, I'm on vacation. I'm just like, come on, man. And then they go down and start giving tickets and arresting UT alumni lawyers who I just talked to for an hour in a natural hot tub. I'm leaving. When I was down at Big Ben, and they're down there just writing tickets, threatening to arrest people. That's all I know. And I'm talking to like these, you know, UT lawyers drinking 2 or 3 Coors Lights. And you just can't do that in America. And the illegal aliens are going back and forth, riding horses. Horse walks up, starts pooping right there in front of the Border Patrol. I'm going, you going to do something about that? I got video of that. Illegal aliens riding around on horses on the U.S. side right by with their horse pooping. And I'm sorry. I mean, this is America. Okay, we're going to pay for your sex changes. It's like, what, you don't, you hate transvestites? Man, give me a break. Okay? And they're doing all this on purpose. They're doing all this on purpose to just get everything so weird that, of course, we take old ladies' houses and pay for transvestites to have their, you know, their huevos, rancheros lopped off. I mean, you know, and if you don't like that, you go to the FEMA camp. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to premiere a video report and narrate part of it, because part of it is really only video of robbers and rapists and would-be killers being shot by gun owners. And the title of the video is Alex Jones. The title of the report is Alex Jones Calls for Gun Confiscation. And we're going to be premiering that video here on the radio and then posting it to the front page of Infowars.com in the next 20 minutes or so. In fact, will you tell the webmasters to post that to the front page in about 20 minutes to Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. You know, I was talking about the fact that they have illegal aliens build the border fence that has giant, quote, game migration route openings all up and down the fake fence. It's fake. They have 4-foot-high openings that are about 10 feet long. They vary the environmental, you know, the feds. So it's pointless. It's a joke fence that every 100 yards or so has an opening in it. In fact, Jim Mars texted me a photo when he was here in town. He texted it to me across the table. I said, let me have that photo. He was showing it to me. He was just down at the border a few months ago. And it shows right there, the fence just comes and then just ends. And he was saying it was, I think he said it was Nuevo Laredo, right there in the city. Just why even build part of it? And it's all part of Welcome to Planet Hoax. That's right. They want to just get you accustomed to accepting being run over. And an example of that is they say it's the law to take vaccines. There is no law that you have to take vaccines. It's all fraud. It's all lies. It's just like they say aspartame is good for you. That's a hoax. The literature admits, they admit it kills you. Gives you diabetes, cancer, you name it. That I've read newspaper articles here. You see them where they say there are no side effects from flu shots or any other vaccine. You go to the CDC, get the insert. Says it'll kill you deader than a hammer quite often. Guillain-Barré, permanent narcolepsy. How about you know, having convulsions all the time? How about some epilepsy? How's that sound? I mean, yeah, that's why I'm so, quote, radical and yelling, screaming stuff, because I'm like a cat in a cage being thrown in a river, and I'm trying to get out, man. I don't want to drown here. I mean, tyranny is coming up over our heads here. I'm like, hey, somebody wake up. The new magazine's out, ladies and gentlemen, and it's the 8th issue. And I have to say the crew, the magazine crew, just does a superlative job, because we take a lot of the most important stories we've done, add graphics, documents, graphs, and then we also have a lot of original content in it as well. But it's the most important news every month. You can buy them in bulk, and I think 5 of the 7 issues have completely sold out, so these usually sell out. Last month we printed, I don't know, like 120,000 extra, so we have a few of the last month's left. We're going to be, everybody who signs up now for a subscription, the next 1,000 people that sign up for the 12 monthly issues sent to you at InfoWarsStore.com, we are going to send you the next 12 issues plus the last issues while supplies last. And it's a little over 1,000 copies that we have. So whoever signs up now, and again, I'm selling these at cost. I mean, yes, I'm a little giddy about it. I kind of get off on information warfare weapons. The whitest propaganda you'll find anywhere. And again, propaganda has a bad connotation. I'm explaining it to you so you're not ignorant. New listeners, because I've had some call and say, you admit you propaganda? The truth is self-evident. Propaganda just means information you use to push your view, your political view. That's the definition of propaganda. Go look it up. It's a little more technical than that, but there it is. There's white propaganda, gray propaganda, and black propaganda. And again, people then send me emails saying, why are you bashing black people? Or when I say white slavery is at all-time highs, they go, what about black slavery? White slavery means it's not seen as bad because the women live in palaces and you know, are sex slaves, like what the Saudi Arabians have. That's called white slavery. It's actually horrible, just as bad. They end up killing people and stuff, and you know, or when they get pregnant, they throw them out on the street. Propaganda, information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote or publicize a particular political cause or point of view. Now, see, that is a new definition. It shows like gay used to mean you were happy, so that is really the wrong definition. The dissemination of such information, put it back up, as a political strategy. That's really the old thing. But the point is, this is, ladies and gentlemen, a weapon. This is the 21st century version of the pamphleteers in the decade before 1776 to get our truth out. And if you watch every drama, every hospital show, every cop show, and every thriller show, every one, I will be in a hotel room with my wife, and I'll go, let's turn on and see what's on TV. And every show, gun owners are terrorists, they're going to kill everyone. And there's a new show with psychopaths on Fox called The Following, where the worst people in it, I mean, the psychopath king really likes, are constitutionalists. And when they say they're constitutionalists, we have video of this, everyone just staggers and goes, oh, even the psychopaths are like, oh my God, it's so powerful and evil. There's nothing worse than constitutionalists, that the police swear an oath to. Well, they're right, oh, Constitution's so evil. Ladies and gentlemen, we know their game. You'd have to be lobotomized to not know it, but the public has been eased into it, so they're suspended disbelief. But my wife tries to, you know, on the stair stepper or whatever, watch TV shows, you know, late at night or in the morning, whatever. And she said every hospital show, every cop show, every drama, she says there is no show that she can watch. And it's upsetting because she just wants to some entertainment. She wants to be able to punch out. She wants, nothing wrong with going and, you know, getting into fantasy or something. Except it is every show is gun owners or demons. Anyone who doesn't take vaccines is murdering children. Anyone that talks about liberties planning to nerve gas New York. I mean, these are some of the things I've seen. Anyone who talks about the Second Amendment and is a veteran, that really all white veterans have converted to Al-Qaeda, and so they're going to put that narrative out. And I told you 4 years ago you'd start seeing that. American terrorist in Syria was working for CIA, says father. Well, I saw the videos the guy put out going, I'm former Marine, but now I fight for Al-Qaeda, and Al-Qaeda's good. And I said, that's clearly an actor, a bad actor. And I said, they may do a fake arrest of him. I'm not even smart, folks. I know their playbook. Remember I said that about 2 weeks ago. We covered it at the time. Watson wrote an article about him saying, why doesn't Obama drone this terrorist? And just because we pointed it out and others pointed it out and it was bad acting, they've done a fake arrest. And they've done this before, where they admit that they'll arrest Al-Qaeda, and then 2 years later, they released him. He was really, that was a double cover. You know, he was brought in under arrest for his cover. It's standard. 4 of the top leaders of Al-Qaeda, from Anwar al-Awlaki that dined secretly at the Pentagon, I told you they'd stage his death. I mean, he's with Whitman, Price, and Haddad, basking in the Maui sun, his debt to society paid in full. That's a quote from The Running Man, a.k.a. short story by Stephen King. Oh, man, it's just a sea of garbage. And now his dad says, hey, my son shouldn't be grabbed by the FBI. He's CIA. And they'll guarantee the FBI will go, Dad, guarantee he's probably already got the call. In fact, try to call his dad. Guys, go after his dad. He's in there. His name's there. He's got a, you know, email accounts and stuff. Get him before the feds do. If they haven't called him, they are going to call him and say, hey, Dad, this is a cover story. Okay, your son's going to get out in a few months. But a lot of times they'll go ahead and burn their own people. Like Hal Turner, the big white supremacist leader who was always calling for me to be brought down. I said he was a Fed. It wasn't hard to know he was a Fed. It's like when you watch a Tide commercial, you go, that's an actor. I mean, you could tell when bad actors are acting. We need an actor, Gary. Remember in Team America? The whole CIA group's basically a bunch of bad actors. That's ridiculous. Anyways, the point is Hal Turner's in federal court going, I was told to do this. Here's my national security letter. And the FBI comes in and goes, national security letter. Yes, it's true. He's our highest level operative, but it doesn't matter. National security. And he went to jail. He couldn't introduce in court. It was under orders. They national security it and still sent him to jail. Just like you people, when you get caught torturing and there's blowback, they will send you to prison. They will hang you out to dry. And that's why there's a new video of the internal email out where, and the Justice Department's confirmed, they're telling all the Homeland Security people, you will be obedient. And they sent them the definition of obedience. You will do what you're told unquestioningly. That's not what you're supposed to do. Look at SPF Russian. They just raided the biggest gun show in the world, probably 100 million views a month. That's real power. And if the guy wasn't just goofing off all the time, which I get is popular, I'm not saying they're not really smart guys. People actually think he's Russian. It's an actor, folks. Now we're going to shoot the info cabin. It sounds more like Christopher Walken than he does a Russian. But the point is, they just raided him, saying we're looking to see if he stored tannerite incorrectly. You can go into any gun shop and for $10 buy a little keg of tannerite that just explodes and has a white flash, but isn't even hardly dangerous. It's not a real explosive. It's a simulant. And they're wanting it banned, by the way. But they're calling it rule-making. We're seeing if you violated our guidelines, is what the FBI and ATF are saying. 40 agents descended on him to see if, with a search warrant. And they said, we know he's using tannerite. We can see that. Folks, we've gone to the store and bought tannerite and gone and shot it. It's exploding targets for our little gun show. I mean, that's why they had a mainstream news article out yesterday I never even got to, where they were admitting, they had a former federal prosecutor saying, look, these internet laws that are already on the books are written to put anybody we want in jail who hasn't even done anything. And then he goes over how it, I mean, it's crazy. You know, you go to the store, you buy tannerite, you go out, you blow it up. The guy's had a show for like 3-4 years. It's very popular. And so they're trying to put him in jail for something he bought at the store. And, man, I see it all the time. I see the squad car videos where they'll pull a Patriot over. He's got an NRA sticker. And they'll go, what's this, bombs? And the guy will go, that's my jumper cables. In fact, I've even got a clip of that in Road to Tyranny. I knew the guy. He'd been on the show before. Farrell Montgomery. Wasn't that his name? I'm trying to go from memory. Yeah, Farrell Montgomery. They pull him over. They search his vehicle. And then they're on the news going, he was making pipe bombs. And they hold up jumper cables. And the public's like, send him to prison. That's a bomb. I mean, pretty soon, this mouse to the computer. Alex Jones had a nuclear bomb. They could put it on the news. Here it is. Public like, kill him, execute him. Here it is, the nuclear bomb, folks. I've got a nuclear bomb. It's right here. I'm so evil. But they could burn down Dorner in front of you. All right, burn that house down. Burn it down. Burn it down. Burn that house down. Like 7 different tapes. And then, all right, they've got the fire. They're bringing it in the armored vehicle. All right, the fire is placed. The fire is on. The fire is lit. All right, the cabin is now collapsing. Good job, everybody. And they're like, oh, no, you didn't hear that. Those are fake audio tapes. And then they went, well, yeah, that is what you heard, but it doesn't mean that. And I'm like, oh, okay. Hey, welcome to Planet Hoax, the new magazine. I think it's maybe my favorite cover. They've all been incredible. Welcome to Planet Hoax. The team just takes a lot of my ideas and just really brings them to life. Incredible. We've got some world-class graphics people over there. Welcome to Planet Hoax and the war on reality, because that's what it is. See, if you can say 2 + 2 = 4, you are free. That's why I saw this a year ago and believed it, because that's what Charlotte Iserby said was next in the plan, former head of policy, Department of Education. But because they already did that in the Soviet Union to the underclasses that they wanted to control, because they're supposedly classless, but they really were, a class society with the technocracy and the communist on top. They said in there that they were going to go to, and you can read this in her book, Deliberate Dumbing Down, available at InfoWarsStore.com if you want to support us and get educated, that, there's actually a Department of Education internal cartoon where it shows the kid at the end of the brainwashing tour not being able to say 2 + 2 = 4. Because that is the goal. That is the goal, where illegal aliens are above the law, the government's above the law, the Congress can insider trade, senators can have 12-year-old boyfriends, but you are going to go to jail for an NRA sticker. And every movie and every show has checkpoints on the highways to get you ready for it, and martial law, and they're sitting there in the show we're going to get to in the next hour. Greg Palast is coming up, and then Mike Adams as well, on the Monsanto Protection Act, publicly written by them to give them total liability protection, to infect your crops, or if you get sick from their crops that grow pesticide in it so it kills the bugs that eat it. Man, you don't need pesticide anymore. It grows its own pesticide, and then we eat it. And that's Planet Hoax. I mean, people don't need to know why that's bad? Okay, all right, Planet Hoax. Welcome to Planet Hoax. And the new issue of Planet Hoax is available. Get it, order it in groups of 10 up to 100, become a micro distributor, sell them in your store to get your money back. I don't care. Big, giant, glossy. Famous artists censored from war publication, Conflict in History. No more hesitation, just kill. In-depth report on the targets of small children where they admit they're training to shoot them. Homeland Security wanted it. Boy stops murder plot with gun. National media ignores it. Comrades, turn in your weapons. The fact that gun control always is followed by mass murder and enslavement. L.A. Times announces white men are terrorists, an expansion on our previous report. Scorecard, how many rights have Americans lost? And 10 giant media and government hoaxes, written by Alex Jones with an expansion by Paul Watson. The big dogs on Wall Street are nervous. Democide, another expanded report with graphics on 260+ million killed by government, how they're the #1 threat. The ammo buy hoax, saying there is no ammo being bought. 30 facts about the coming crisis that will change the lives of everyone on the planet. Internet Plan B, the New York 7, South by Southwest recap, where they're trying to ban handing out this evil magazine, and a lot more. The special forward by yours truly. Did you know there's a war on for reality? And notes from the InfoWars magazine publisher, Alex Jones. So that is just some of what's in their letters to the editor. Just look at these graphics in here. I mean, even the ads are something to feast the eyes on. So people are freaking out, even people in the magazine business over this, and it's just going to get better and better. It's just going to get more and more hardcore. It's just going to get more. Oh, I forgot the best part, folks. The best part is the Dianne Feinstein centerfold. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not joking. We have her head on Betty Page's body in a bathing suit with a devil tail and everything, and we just want these hung up in legal and lawful areas, all 110,000 of them. Oh, they hate being ridiculed. Welcome to Planet Hoax. Hi, I'm Dianne Feinstein, and I love liberty. April Fools. It's the April issue, and it's like Gangnam Style. Hey, sexy lady. And she was a beauty queen. Oh, my goodness. You got to love it. So that was my idea as well. I'm not bragging. I'm just letting you know where these weird ideas come from. I get all the blame, or Constitution, free zones, just it's all covered in here. It's all, the Democide page is really important. And you're like, well, I know about Democide. Really? Do your neighbors know about Democide? These are magazines people can't put down. We're going to skip this network break coming up because I've gotten behind here. I'm just in a good mood. I survived this big giant piece of plastic blowing out of a city refuse truck and getting on the front of my vehicle. I got off the highway while driving 70 miles an hour. Hey, let's get to the big news up at Infowars.com right now. 40-plus officers and ATF agents raid home of YouTube gun personality, FPS Russia, and his partner got his head blown off recently. I mean, maybe they're investigating that, but I doubt it. And American terrorist in Syria was working for CIA says father, Piers Morgan, Adam Lanza was an NRA member with no proof, and says that NRA members need to be looked at as mass murderers. See, this is the purge, folks. This is a cult military globalist takeover where they're going to say gun owners and conservatives and libertarians are the enemy. And then now Al-Qaeda's good, you're bad. And I know you know that, but I mean, do you realize the magnitude of how bad these guys are? The only way to turn this around is to admit how much trouble we're in. And then it continues, Pat Robertson on DHS arms buildup. Who are they going to shoot? Us? And Skynet drones working together for Homeland Security. That's a quote. They're calling them Skynet now. I told you. That's a Pentagon term from the 70s. Yeah, it's art imitating life, folks, not the other way around. Homeland Security demands obedience in message to agents. And media demonizes patriots as serial killers. That's our TV nightly news report with myself and David Knight last night, breaking down the following where, again, and the whole episode, obviously we can't put it up there because of copyright. We can put a short clip up for fair use, shot off one of our iPhones. Again, they all worship this top master psycho. And I was talking to Will Jones, who actually watches the show. He said that the main cast is like the main guys winning right now. It's kind of like a Survivor for psychos who can do the best terror attacks are patriots. Right-wing police officers are terrorists. You're all going to be purged. You watch this. They're scripting, and all these airheads are watching this, even though it has no connection to reality. I know, Oklahoma City. Yeah, another Fast and Furious. Oh, yeah. Libertarians did that like the Easter Bunny's going to really be laying eggs this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, maybe you believe that. I mean, yeah, people believe Santa Claus is real. I know that's a conspiracy theory. So we're going to be covering it all, but before I get to this report, here's Pat Robertson. Again, he did a full report on this, but here's a clip of it saying columns of armored vehicles. He was reporting on our story that was on Drudge, the Infowars.com story from DrudgeReport.com, and he was going over the 2 billion bullets. And he says, who are they for? Us. Well, yeah, it's actually for Christians. That's why the Southern Baptist Convention says turn our guns in. The Catholic Church says repeal the Second Amendment. Everybody's been told, we're taking over, you get in line. So all their operatives in every major denomination, you name it, are now saying the government is God. If you go to any major church this weekend, you will hear that message. Do what the government tells you. Take the shots. Turn your guns in. Because it's called clergy response teams. They're paid by FEMA and Homeland Security. I mean, how creepy is that? It's a body snatcher style takeover. Let's go ahead and go to Pat Robertson. Here it is.
Long trains full of armored vehicles, personnel carriers with armor. What are they for? The Army going into battle against the enemy? They're used by Homeland Security against us. Ronald Reagan said the most fearful statement in the English language is, I'm from the government and I'm here to help you.
Oh, boy, I totally agree.
Imagine what Homeland Security is doing. It's just awful. But we're going to talk about how much ammunition they're stockpiling. Who are they going to shoot? Us?
And Right Wing Watch that posts that, like they're the authority. Like when they post something, it means it's bad. You go to their site, they say it's not true. You understand, that's a military operation. This is going on publicly, and they won't give Congress details. It's a continuity of government buildup because we've been taken over by a foreign government. These are collaborators. And if we don't have a major debate about this, if we don't force this out and then point out this buildup's happening, they're going to get it built up, stage the event, and have the takeover. But if we... That's why they have to keep saying doesn't exist, because they can't have a debate about it because it's checkmate. We've got them in check right now. I've said for 1 year, when it was 1 billion bullets, 8, 9 months ago, and I said the armored vehicles, the tanks, the proof of their preparation for war with us is the proof the government's illegitimate and bad. And it's been going on for decades, but it's 3 or 4 orders of magnitude bigger now. And they're going operational with the brainwashing they never did before. That means they're getting ready to drop the hammer or thinking about it. And I'm saying, drop that gun, New World Order. Drop that gun, Obama. You want gun control? How about gun control for you? Here's part of my report. The whole thing's like 12 minutes long. Here's about 10 minutes of it. Here is the report, and it's now going up at Infowars.com for radio listeners. You can also go get it there and share it. Alex Jones calls for gun confiscation, but not the type the establishment's calling for, and it gets people thinking. Here it is. War has been declared on the Second Amendment. War has been declared on the entire Bill of Rights, but we've always known And our founders warned us that when they come for the guns, you know your nation is in dire peril. That's why the founders called for gun control. And that's why I'm now endorsing it. No, not gun control over the people, who are the source of liberty and justice, and wherever firearms are found, evil is restrained, as Thomas Jefferson said. No, I'm calling for government and the illegal standing army that is Homeland Security, a fifth branch of the military that admits its mission is to suppress gun owners, conservatives, libertarians, returning veterans, Christians. This is the globalist corporate takeover army. And they've used the fake pretext of terrorism to set this up. And now they're telling us, forget about Al-Qaeda. The new terrorists are domestic conservative gun owners who won't turn their guns in. They want to have a civil war in this country. That's their smokescreen to have a purge. And so I am calling for the standing army that is Homeland Security and the thousands of armored vehicles, the tanks, the helicopters, the 2 billion rounds of ammunition to be handed over to the Department of Defense, who has been very resistant in the last 20 years towards the RAND Corporation and the globalist commands to become a domestic military. Everything the system has done is to condition us to accept this so that the globalists can fully implode the economy and accelerate their social engineering. America is under attack from within and without by the globalists. And I also call for collaborators like Dianne Feinstein, Bloomberg, Michael Moore, John McCain, and others to relinquish their firearms to the local government and to declare that they are giving up their taxpayer-paid-for bodyguards in the case of the senators and people like Mayor Bloomberg, who has more than 15 people on his security detail. These people are unbelievable hypocrites who do not want you to be able to protect your family because they know the Second Amendment has become a beachhead of liberty. And these globalists are desperate that the public not learn of the FBI statistics that are collected from local governments across the United States that conclusively show since 1991, violent crime has dropped 49%. It's going straight down because gun ownership is going straight up. Gun ownership goes up, crime rates go down. It is a fact. And the system is panicking over that Chicago and New York and other places where only the government mafia has firearms are crime-ridden bastions of oppression. Think about it. We see a giant Homeland Security arms buildup, and then we get their terror training manuals, and they announce their new #1 enemy is gun owners and people that won't turn their firearms in. This is an authoritarian takeover. This is an attempt to sell their purge against the American people. That's why we've got to use the First Amendment now like we never have before, or we're going to lose this entire country. The globalists are coming in here testing the waters to see if they can sell the public on a civil war with Homeland Security as a standing army waging war against the American people who value the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and our sacred republic. Now, in a moment, I'll get into their overall battle plan to disarm this once free nation. But first, I wanted to just show you a few of the hundreds and hundreds of clips that are online showing surveillance footage where different gangs of thugs come into businesses, come into homes, come into public places, and attempt to rob and attack the peaceful population. And where citizens stand up as true guardians of liberty and defend themselves and those around them. And then it's video after video that many of you have seen. This is only a small compilation. I think we're going to make a master compilation. There's thousands of these. But these are just some of the recent ones in the last few months where, they go into stores, they go into businesses, they go into casinos, and aim guns at people or start shooting people, and people shoot back and kill them. I always love how the criminals can't ever shoot very good because they shoot like from the movies, and they like turn the gun upside down or at an angle. And I love how the gun owners, the business people that actually live in the real world, not in the Hollywood world, they always get behind cover immediately and start killing, which is a good natural thing. I don't enjoy killing. normally. But if you're trying to hurt me, I have a killer instinct, and I'll put a good guy up against a bad guy anytime. The good guys can just really turn it loose, man, because they're defending themselves. They're in the right. Man in the wrong can't stand up against a man in the right who keeps on a coming. I love how this guy gets shot going out the door, and he's like begging. Listen to this. Oh. A lot of these guys ended up dying in these videos. Yeah, one time he's shooting at somebody, and the guy, he turns to run, the guy shoots him right in the back. People get on such power trips, criminals. See? Oh, but Shepard Fairey, who's made $50 million or whatever it is off his commie posters, Obey and all that. Oh, he says you're a Satanist if you own a gun, but he doesn't do stuff about North Korean dictators or communists. He likes them. He makes posters about how they're good, and then makes communist-style posters for Obama. You know, that famous red and blue one, red, white, and blue one. People are like, oh, that's America. No, those were copies of Stalin and Lenin paintings from the 20s, 30s, and 40s. See, he likes that. The state has the guns. That's not Satan. No, that's good. That's the state is God. That's God. You, the individual having a gun, that's Satan to a communist. You see, God's all about free will, the God of the Bible. But see, the devil is all about you not having free will. So see, those that are under the devil's control, whether you believe the devil or not, that construct, that man, that archetype, that cloak, that consciousness does not like you being free. Of course Satan doesn't want you to have guns. Satan wants to murder you and your family as slowly and as painfully as possible. Not only are the nanny state criminals desperate that you not learn that more guns means less crime, they're also scared of all the local newscast every day in this country. There's thousands of these videos online showing citizens protecting themselves from vicious robbers, criminals, and rapists. They are scared of the fact that the common sense that we have a responsibility to protect ourselves is beginning to get out there. The globalist mafia wants you to be dependent, wants you to be a victim, wants you to be scared, wants you waiting 15 minutes for the police to arrive, calling 911 instead of protecting yourself. That's what this is all about. Dianne Feinstein, Michael Moore, all of these people that have their own bodyguards are trying to smother the liberty movement. That's right. And it's a total desperate attack. And I've noticed all these so-called leftists we've had on who have interesting perspectives. Now there's an unwritten thing, won't ever come on my show now. And like RT's aligned with Obama now, that they'll never have me on. And it's because this is the full collectivist takeover. The bankers are making their move. All their agents are showing themselves. All right, we've got Greg Palast to break down what's happening in the economy. We had him on last week for only 30 minutes. I'm back on about that, about what's happening in Europe with the bank runs and the looting of the bank accounts. His take on Chavez, he knew him well. The Koch brothers and more. Mike Adams is going to be joining us on total immunity by Supreme Leader, dear leader, Führer, Czar, Overlord, God King, Master Blaster, Supreme Overlord, Underlord, Supreme Lord, Preciousness, Cover Commander, Obama, Frontman, New World Order Teleprompter Man. That's coming up on the whole Monsanto Protection Act. But here's more. We won't get to it all. Alex Jones endorses gun control. Calls for gun confiscation. The video has been posted now up at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Just hit refresh. And I won't have time to play it all now. I've only played about 10 minutes of it. There's 3 or 4 more minutes of it. And then there's a couple minutes left that's really key. I'm calling for the government to have its guns taken. If we can't be trusted, you can't be trusted. That's what the founders believe, and that's why they're demonized everywhere now, because enemies have captured America. If you don't recognize that, well, you're a Nazi collaborator. People ask, why'd the French bow to the Nazis? Their media told them to. They were collaborators in the media. When Hitler invaded, the military stood down because he bought off 90+% of the French generals. We've been taken over. I mean, it's real simple. And I'm the resistance. So are you. All right, let's go back to this clip. Here it is. You've seen what the globalist propaganda media spews all day. That if somebody commits a crime with a gun, all gun owners are collectively guilty because of that, and so we all have to be collectively punished. Pure authoritarianism. But if we're going to talk about guilt by association, our founders said, you better keep government small, and even if you do it's probably going to enslave you. So if gun owners are collectively guilty for what someone else does, isn't government collectively guilty? Our founders warned us about the danger of government. They said, you better keep government tiny and on a short leash, and even if you do, it'll be hard to keep your liberty. George Washington famously said, government is like fire, a dangerous servant and a fearful master. And did you know that if you cut out all the military deaths from the last century's wars and just look at government killing innocent people, lining them up and shooting them, starving them, you name it, it's more than 260 million people killed by government in what is known as democide. And so that is guilt by association. We know government is the #1 threat in world history. And now tyranny has come to America and is telling us we need to turn our guns in. And we've got Dianne Feinstein famously smiling on television and saying, we're going to get our gun control agenda through, if not now, later, because there will be more incidences.
These events are going to continue.
And smiling, oh yes. Isn't it exciting to know how you're going to be able to use those dead children? Ignore the millions of kids killed by government after disarmament and just take those 20 and throw them in everybody's face. And she said she's seen the photos. She has the grisly details. They may release them. And Michael Moore salivates and says, release the photos of the dead kids. Destroy the Second Amendment. Destroy the NRA. While he has bodyguards. And now he's saying Harry Reid wouldn't have voted against taking the guns if he'd have had his grandchildren dead.
If a man with an assault weapon goes into the school where Harry Reid's grandchildren go to school tomorrow and kills his grandchildren, what would he stand in front of that microphone at 5 o'clock and say, I know how Diane, had to witness the mayor getting murdered, but my grandchildren just got killed today, but, we can't get it passed because we just don't have the votes. Would he do that really? I don't think so.
These people are salivating over the few massacres that happen so that they can collectively have us put on that guilt and turn in our firearms when we, the people, have lowered the crime rate with our Second Amendment by 49%. All right. And saved countless. There's a couple minutes left, the real finale. The video's going up at Infowars.com right now, and I'm going to tweet it at Real Alex Jones during this break. So get it, make it go viral. The gun grabbers will grab it because of the headline in a frenzy of state worship and will actually help us. So let's jam enemy operations right now. I have shot an extremely powerful special presentation that Darren McBreen helped research and edit that is up at Infowars.com right now. I'm also tweeting it out so you can spread it virally at Twitter.com/RealAlexJones. So just link through on the Twitter links there at PrisonPlanet.com. or Infowars.com to get this video. Alex Jones calls for gun confiscation. It's a 13-minute long video. That's just what it came out to. That's unlucky for the New World Order. I am here to tell you. So please, everyone, retweet that. Alex Jones calls for gun confiscation that I just sent out on Twitter. What else? And again, I'm calling for government gun confiscation. Why do we talk about the danger of citizens having guns all day, but not 2 billion bullets, thousands of armored vehicles, training for domestic operations? This is bipartisan. It's shadow government, but now Congress wants to know why they have 2 billion bullets. They want to know why they're buying armored vehicles. They want to know why Obama talks about a civilian military force just as big and just as strong as our military. And I know Greg Palast is kind of a populist, you would call him. I'm outside the left-right paradigm, but a lot of stuff is on the left, is on the right. I'm seen as being a right-winger because I'm pro-gun, pro-private property rights, anti-abortion, stuff like that. But I also know a lot of that stuff's used as football issues. The larger issue, what about $85 billion a month being given to foreign banks to prop up their derivatives? What about how they get interest at 0 or negative, and then we get it at 10, 15, 20%? That's the real discrimination, and the fake left uses all these race issues and things to distract, and gay marriage stuff, distract from the real raping that's going on. And he's a former federal financial crimes investigator, and that's how he got hired by ABC News, BBC, you name it. And he hosts the British Nightline show, Newsnight over there, one of the top shows. And, of course, you're no stranger to this show, GregPalast.com. He's also a best-selling author. And he made documentaries about Hugo Chavez. He knew Hugo Chavez, agreed with him on some things, didn't on others. I want to talk some today about the transformation of Chavez and why I don't like him. Again, I don't like Assad in Syria either, but I don't want to send al-Qaeda in there to overthrow him. That's 100 times worse. And see, our government's doing that. I get the people that run our government are really bad. My issue, I don't think in like two-dimensional, well, if the globalists are bad, then Chavez is good. Okay, so, but we're going to talk about all that with him. But first, I want to get into the latest on Cyprus, because if anybody's got their snout, their feelers, their spies in a good way in the financial system, and he breaks, I'm not kissing his butt. I'm building it up so you know, you really need to listen to this guy. Because Greg Palast, I got to say, breaks more big news internationally than anybody else, real financial bombshell stuff. So, and he made the documentary Hugo Chavez versus the network. So I want to get another perspective on Chavez here today. But first we'll get into the latest on the Cyprus stuff expanding, where all that's going. I want to talk some about the Koch brothers, too, because that's just always Koch brothers. Koch brothers is kind of a left-wing conspiracy theory. But there is something there, because they are taking over all the right-wing and libertarian groups. What's happening there? But what's the fight, then, in the power structure with these guys? See, it's like a gangster group. It's not Koch brothers or little angel cakes. I'm asking, just like Syria, you know, the government, I don't like them. It's a dictatorship, but kind of a softer one, like Chavez or something. I know you'll say he was elected, but I mean, give me a break. It's, you know, by taking other people's money and giving it, and now the money's running out. But we're going to debate that in a moment. I'm kind of ranting here. But first, I want to see if Greg Palast agrees with Pat Robertson on something, which I know he probably doesn't agree with him on a lot of things. Being kind of more socially a liberal out there, kind of like, I guess, a liberal with a conscience, but he'll come on and say he's not a liberal using those terms. You know, a proto-liberal, not one of the fake neoliberals. Maybe that's a better term for him. But I want to play this clip of Pat Robertson, because this arms buildup, the troops training for gun confiscation, that's in the manuals. This is a big story, that we're going to an authoritarian model where the military's on the streets, and where there's a domestic FEMA corps spying on people and clergy response teams on FEMA payroll to tell their flocks what to do, and corporate FBI spies in the corporate world in InfraGard. I mean, I know an authoritarian system, and it's bipartisan. This stuff started really after Eisenhower and Kennedy accelerated, and it's been bipartisan right through with Rex 84 and all of it. But now under Obama, let's not exaggerate, it's 10 times on the Richter scale what I saw previously. And every drama, right-wingers, that real right-wingers, you know, libertarians, are all terrorists, all killers in every show, and they don't brand like that until they're about to go operational. Here's that short clip of Pat Robertson, and I want to get Greg Palast's take on this here today. Here it is.
Long trains full of armored vehicles, personnel carriers with armor. What are they for? The Army going into battle against the enemy? They're used by Homeland Security against us. Ronald Reagan said the most fearful statement in the English language is, I'm from the government and I'm here to help you.
Oh, boy, I totally agree.
Imagine what Homeland Security is doing. It's just awful. But we're going to talk about how much ammunition they're stockpiling. Who are they going to shoot? Us? Long trains full.
That's right. So they are absolutely freaking out in the system. There's more articles out today. Like I saw it over there, a printout, a bunch of newspapers yesterday I never even got to, going, the rumors now spread to mainstream news that there's bullets in armored vehicles and a plan for military control. There's no bullets, no tanks, no nothing. The insane demon Alex Jones made it all up with the demon Matt Drudge. Now, again, Greg Palast, what do you know about the military domestic buildup? Are you concerned about it? And if so, what do you believe it's for?
Well, I have to be concerned because if you remember, Alex, Homeland Security charged me with crimes under the Patriot Act while I was reporting for BBC television. My crime was to take photos of the Exxon refinery in Baton Rouge, which was right near the refugee camps, the people that were, sent out of New Orleans. And so I was charged. It was like Russia. Apparently now you can't take photos of what's called a vulnerable infrastructure. Now,
that's under national security, infrastructure protection. That's InfraGard. And they tell everybody that works at dams, factories, anywhere, that anyone doing anything's a terrorist. and you're a secret agent, and that was in the news. ABC News reporter charged with terrorism, but America kind of got its conscience back, what was that, 4 or 5 years ago, and said, okay, drop the charges. But that shows what they want to do.
Right. Well, they were very embarrassed that so what happens, Homeland Security charged me, but they told me, in fact, it was a complaint made by Exxon Petroleum. And the reason is Exxon did not want, and the government didn't want to show that they were, basically what I was taking pictures of, was the illegal sky dumping and filth that was being poured out of that plant, which is going right over the refugee camps that were under those stacks where we dumped these people for 2 years. And that's what they didn't want. In fact, you could go on Google Earth and you can get the coordinates of every single building, detailed maps and every single coordinate of the buildings at that refinery. That's okay for Google Map. But from a long distance photo of chemicals being burned off, well, which were not supposed to be burned off, that's illegal. That's what they're going to arrest me for. And I got a call from Homeland Security and they said, you know, when first of all, by the way, the most frightening thing is that they couldn't find me. And Alex, I'm on television. They couldn't find me for 2 weeks. So I turned myself in. And then they said, you know, this is really serious. A lot of people died on September 11th. And I said, good, why don't you go find them? The guys who killed the people on September 11th. What am I doing here? So yes, I'm very concerned about Homeland Security. I've been it touches upon, interestingly, Hugo Chavez, because Homeland Security seems to have a very wide net. Homeland Security hired a company, ChoicePoint, to create massive databases. Remember, they used to call it total information awareness. ChoicePoint is a company that had, for a massive fee, helped fix the voter rolls in Florida to get George Bush elected by manipulation of the voter rolls. They then got a no-bid contract with Homeland Security to run databases, including creating DNA databases on Americans. Massive. I don't know, because it's a national security contract, I couldn't get the numbers. But interestingly, while researching this company, I also found out that they had been paid to basically steal the voter rolls of Venezuela, Argentina, Brazil, Nicaragua, and Mexico. Now, what does that have to do with our Homeland Security? Or is it the same company which had manipulated elections in the United States being paid to manipulate the elections abroad? I was very concerned. And then the company that is actually running these FEMA camps, and by the way, they're supposed to be for illegal immigrants. That's what the story is.
But it came out in the Rex 84 hearings, and then even more modern ones. That's the cover. That's how they keep the pump primed with those prisoners. But the real design is for civil unrest.
Well, I was very concerned, mainly because of who was involved in this. It's Wackenhut Corporation, which now has changed its name several times. It became Geo. Now it's under an Italian cover. What used to be called Wackenhut Corporation. They were the main contractors. And Wackenhut does private prisons, and it is very mobbed up with doing counterintelligence. Again, I found this in Venezuela, where I have tape recordings of Wackenhut people. I can't say I really understand everything they're saying, but they keep talking about things like the Third Circle and this kind of some type of espionage operation. I don't know if it was an attempt to assassinate the president of Venezuela or something else. But if you get Wackenhut, ChoicePoint, Homeland Security together, the combination is really not very pleasant, very dangerous.
We're going to come back and get into what has happened over in Cyprus and how that's expanding. Then I want to get into Hugo Chavez, who you knew quite well, so an inside look on that. Made several films with him and about him. And then we're going to also expand out into the Koch brothers. And then we're going to break down what Monsanto's doing, the Monsanto Protection Act. By the way, I haven't told my Dave Mustaine of Metallica, Megadeth, you name it story. Me staying at my house right now. We're good friends. With he and his wife and my wife were out last night and hanging with Willie Nelson. That is quite a story. And Willie's like, hey, you need to call me. I want to come on the show. And I hadn't seen Willie in a couple of years. I got a chance to hang out with him last night. And he is just as good a guy as ever. But I tell you, I disagree with him a little bit on the Sandy Hook thing, but it's all that peer pressure. But I want to get Willie back on, so maybe that'll happen. He says he's going back on tour next week, but he says he's going to give me a call whenever he wants to come on. Okay, let's go back to Greg Palast. Yeah, I just put up for TV viewers. You can see the photos of myself, Dave Mustaine, and Willie Nelson. It's just interesting. 3 interesting people together up on our Twitter account at Real Alex Jones. You can follow us there. You can check out Greg Palast at gregpalast.com. Okay, Greg, this is a short segment, long segment coming up. Let's spend some time on what's happening right now with the taking money out of bank accounts. They didn't just get 10%. They went ahead and took 40% or more out of people's bank accounts, and now they're saying they may do it Europe-wide, and this isn't even a big story now. It's just like, yeah, we're going to take your money and give it to big global mafia-run banks, and if you don't, and they're deploying troops on the streets, and I guess if they do that here, everybody will just say, thank you, here's all my money, and you're a terrorist if you think that's robbery.
Do you remember the good old days when you put money in the bank to be safe from the robbers?
Yes.
That's the robbers own the bank. You put your money in the bank and they take it. And what's amazing about it is that the European Union, just like the U.S. government, has a guarantee of depositors for less than if you have 100,000 or fewer euros. And they're going to take everyone's money, even those who are guaranteed by law. And you have to understand, when they talk about the government taking the money, the government doesn't get the money. What they're doing is they're sucking the money out of the bank account and literally giving it back to those same bank owners to pay off the bank bondholders, the speculators in the bank. In fact, in the original European plan that was secretly cut, they had literally these owners of these bandit banks were not required to take a single penny of loss. They've been paying themselves massive salaries, massive dividends, sucking the money out to their cronies. They take the money out of your bank account and give it to the so-called investors. That's what they're doing. It's just beyond imagination. And it is, but hey, listen, if you were reading my books, you would have known that was going to happen. You'd have to be kind of a schmo to have put your money.
I took the transcript that you and I did in 2002 from a radio interview that got published in newspapers all over the world because your site picked it up. And it was called, what was the name of that? Guys, there's a copy of my book around here. It's out of print, but the digital copy's on prisonplanet.tv for members. Yep. In my book, Descent into Tyranny, I forget the headline, but it broke down how they go and take your bank accounts and how they take over and how they would then do it in the West and Europe. And because you got the documents, but punching that back up, punch that story back up, guys. I want to read this to Mr. Palast. Cyprus-style bail-ins are proposed in new 2013 Canadian government budget. They're also proposing it in Spain, Portugal, Greece, Italy. The head of the EU central bank's proposing it. I mean, they're getting ready to just take everybody's money and give it to private people. This is amazing, Greg.
And not just any people. The #1 beneficiary is a guy named Paul Singer. He runs what's called a vulture fund. He's the Uber vulture. He bought up a bunch of Greek bonds for next to nothing, about 20 cents on the dollar of value. And then he asked for 200% of their face value. So the guy's looking at something like a 2,000% profit. And he says, and why does he get the money? Because he also is one of the biggest donors to the political parties. And by the way, he's the #1 funder of gay marriage rights. His son is married to a guy and lives in London. So so when you're asked, you got to put these things together, Cyprus and gay marriage, because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm kind of libertarian on this. You want to marry whoever you want. I don't care. It's none of my business.
But it is a total football issue.
But it is being used to cover up the real steal. And this guy, Paul Singer, for example, everyone is praising him on all my good liberal left friends are praising him.
Well, no, I mean, you could take everybody, widows and janitors' bank accounts and give it to him as long as he likes gay people.
That's right. As long as his son is allowed to marry a boy, that's okay, and he's all for it.
Well, I mean, they're getting us to obsess over, like we better pay for people to have sex changes instead of, hey, can we not give $85 billion a month to private banks?
Right. So it's circus, bread and circus. I got attacked by my liberal friends, which are most of my readers, for saying that Alex Jones is one of the most substantive programs on subject matter on the air. And yet, what do you think Rachel Maddow is going to be talking about tonight? It's all
gay marriage, but we're not. Let's come back and give you the floor on the banking crisis, where you see it going, and how to stop them. Greg Palast. Greg Palast is our guest, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go back to him here in just a second and finish up with what's happening on the financial front. It couldn't be bigger, but we've known it's coming for so long. In a way, we're conditioned ourselves. It's like, yeah, they know aspartame gives you type 2 diabetes, and that's why they put it in there to kill us. Oh, here's the document. Yeah, Monsanto, the pesticides that grow in their food, pharmacological crop, yeah, it causes organ failure and all the mammals that eat it. Yeah, they got liability protection now. Yeah, oh, their cafeterias don't serve it. No, they're eugenicists. Yeah, hey, but I'm an extremist because I don't like that. And we're just all in this together, and they've got us busy. I mean, you turn on MSNBC, it's like the Ku Klux Klan channel. But it's from a liberal perspective, just race everything, race. I'm so sick of it. I'm so tired of it. Just shut up. I wasn't raised like that. Nobody I know is. I'm sick of it. They just want everybody at each other's throats while they're robbing us. That's all a giant hoax. Welcome to Planet Hoax. The new issue of the magazine's out. You can get subscriptions, the next 12 issues. In fact, while we have supplies of a few of the back issues, most of them have sold out. We have in bulk that we sell in groups of 10 up to 100 to wake people up. Big, color, glossy magazine full of key information. People are going out of print. We go into print. We've dominated on the web in alternative real media. Now we're going to dominate here, and it's very successful. But we'll have some of the March and some of another issue for people that subscribe, so you really get 13 issues for the 13 colonies. For the next 1,000 people that subscribe. Or, again, you can buy them in bulk at cost in groups of 10 up to 100. You can even get a little newsstand that says Infowars.com at cost, because this is an at cost. It's not bad to make money to fund liberty. Obviously, win-win-win. That's how we do this. But this is something that's at cost. You know, I mean, on newsstands, this would be $5. It's like the old Rolling Stone, you know, big broadsheet. And it's got a lot of amazing stuff in it as well. The Dianne Feinstein centerfold. And no, it's not pornographic, folks. It's an April Fool's joke. We put her head on Betty Page and some other things. As you can see there, actually, it's a real photograph. She can't go out in the daytime. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, is that you need to get that magazine and wake people up. Welcome to Planet Hoax and the war on reality. Also, when you buy books, videos, T-shirts, films, the best materials out there, including Greg Palast's books we sold out of them. And then couldn't get more of one of the last ones. So we need to reorder those. But I guess they're back on bookstore shelves somewhere if you can find them, the last book. That sold out. They were just telling me the other day when he was on, I go, hey, we're carrying his book. Yeah, they all sold out. We're trying to get more. The point is, support alternative real media. You don't have to agree with Jesse Ventura on everything. He's a real guy. I admire him. You don't have to agree with Greg Palast on everything. He's a real guy, so I admire him. You don't have to agree with Alex Jones on everything. But we're real, so you need to support us. So get the ProPure stainless steel water filters that cut all the garbage out. The best system out there. It's why we carry it at the lowest price, 10% off with promo code WATER. Buy from the good guys, InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139. New books, videos, T-shirts in there, sometimes every day, always every week. It really is a giant factory of funding our operation and of resistance, so it's a win-win. We've now done research. I'm going to be the seed center. I'm going to carry like 8 different companies that we've researched for a year. Weldon Henson's obsessed with only carrying the very best products. That's what, because I told him to be. Plus, he's a great guy. You know, loaded bombs and worked on F-16, so he's a pretty good stickler to getting stuff done. Right now, we've got 6 companies that are highly reviewed, and we have the lowest prices on seeds. And we're going to add even more at InfoWarsStore.com. Great to plant seeds. Great to have the garden. Great to be involved. We've got all of Mike Adams' natural, organic products that have been triple sourced and tested with the test stuff linked on his website, produced right here and packaged right here in Austin, Texas. That is also available at InfoWarsStore.com. We've got the best kelp, seaweed, systems, monophyllin at the lowest prices. Not only do we have the best products, the lowest prices you're going to find out there. Double check for yourself. InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139. And lastly, support our local AM and FM affiliates and their sponsors. Shop with people that advertise on this show and become an advertiser locally if you believe in this message. The globalists are all in to overthrow our liberty. We have to get all in to awaken America to the organic resistance that can bring down these synthetic fake left tyranny of the New World Order. Okay, now get back to what you were saying, complimenting me. I like that part. I'm joking. No, seriously, get back to what you were saying about what's happening in the economy, the distractionary issues, and then let's segue into your films on Chavez because, you know, he's dead. It's a big debate. What was your real take on him? I get it. We're giving $85 billion to Singer and people, and they control tens of billions or have that and leverage trillions. He took it from those type of people and gave it to the poor people, so they say he's a hero. But I just call that another form of tyranny because now the money's running out and Venezuela's falling apart, but you'd probably say that's the sanctions. I'm going to shut up, Greg Palast. We got about 12 minutes before we go to break again. You've got the floor on what's happening in Europe, what's happening here, who's making money off of it, Chavez, and then I want to get into the Koch brothers. Go ahead, Greg Palast.
All right, quite a bit, but I'll make it quick. First of all, I do want to mention, like as you mentioned, MSDNC, as I call it, which are my buddies. I know all these people, but you know, I got to tell you, the Defense of Marriage Act. I found myself agreeing with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, probably the first time and only time in my life. He said, "What is this case doing here? You already won the federal courts throughout DOMA already. How come you, Mr. Obama, have appealed the decision you agree with? Is this just some political cover so we take the hit and you can and you have a wonderful political story here?" It was the court case on DOMA is a fake. The law is already been killed by the federal courts. It's done. There's no reason why it was before the Supreme Court, except to make sure that you're not looking at Cyprus, you're not looking at your bank account, you're not looking at Monsanto. Once more, you're supposed to just look down at your crotch, and that's going to determine the political discussion in America. And I'm tired of it, and I'm glad you're having me on.
Exactly. I'm not obsessed with sex stuff, and I'm tired of it being rammed down my throat every day.
Yeah, so, you know, okay, fine. Now, and again, the mischief, this whole mischief is being funded by Paul Singer, and he's not doing it because he cares about your rights. He cares about his money, and he wants your money to be his money. Now, that gets us to what's happening in Greece and elsewhere. As I've written, in fact, my latest book, Billionaires and Ballot Bandits, we're reprinting fast as we can. It was a New York Times bestseller. We'll get them to you, Alex. Billionaires and Ballot Bandits has the story about how these guys have been shaking down Europe and America. The euro was created by a guy named Bob Mundell, who was out of Columbia University. He's not European, he's Canadian. He got the Nobel Prize for it, but he told me, and I have him on tape, because I was a student of Milton Friedman and we were all friends. And he said, look, the euro is not there as a good currency. It's there to smash the system. They believed in what their philosopher guide the stone is a guy named Schumpeter.
Well, that's actually come out in documents before that, and it's funny you say that because now the Canadian budget of the government's officially calling to steal people's bank accounts in Canada, and they're not even claiming they're insolvent. I mean, this is incredible.
In other words, they're fomenting bank runs. The other thing that I'm hunting down right now is information that while everyone else's money was locked in those Cypriot banks, the Russian mobsters have figured out ways to stick their straws in and get their money out while they supposedly weren't able to. So they're not taking the hit that everyone thinks that they're taking. The other thing to remember is this. I've seen the maps. There's a billionaire oil man who let me look at the maps of the seismic maps around Cyprus. Let me tell you, that is an island in the middle of a pool of gas and oil. That's what it's all about. They're going to say, well, we need some collateral, guys. And actually, the prime minister of Greek Cyprus went off to Moscow to secretly offer the oil fields and gas fields around Cyprus to Putin. Say, look, save us here, and we'll give you the gas and oil. And he doesn't want it because he's got his own, and he doesn't want it drilled at all. So this is a fight, really, believe it or not. A lot of this is a fight about the oil. And that's, again, what gets us back to Chavez. So as to Chavez, look, if you go to gregpalast.com, you can download the film, The Assassination of Hugo Chavez. You might like him, you might hate him. Most of the people there think he was Jesus on a pogo stick because people were very poor. He took the oil money, he gave it to them. Did he do things I didn't like? Yeah, he closed down an opposition TV station, and I thought that was disgusting and awful and ridiculous. I told him so, and, I wanted the answer. He said, well, they broke the law. Yeah, but whatever. I think that's not how you run a democracy. He was elected, as you say, he was elected because he gave people the oil money, which was new. Hey, I'd like to get the oil money out of Alaska for America. Why not? Sarah Palin raised taxes on oil companies as much as Hugo Chavez. And I think she was right, and I think he was right. Now, what else did he do? When the banks told him, the U.S. Federal Reserve, the banks said, listen, whenever we pay you money for your oil, you're supposed to give it all back, right? Like in that show, The Network, you know, the Arabs have billions of dollars, Mr. Beale, and now we must get it back.
The tidal forces of nature, Mr. Beale, exactly. And you will atone. Am I getting through to you, Mr. Beale?
And that's what they told Chavez. Look, you got to bring the money back. It's always been that way. In fact, before Chavez took over in Venezuela, was elected, Venezuela would sell about $40 billion worth of oil and return $50 billion because they would not only send back the oil money, but all the rich guys from the plantations would hide their money in New York and Switzerland and Miami. When Chavez came in, he took $20 billion in gold bars out of the U.S. Federal Reserve. Sold it off, melted it out, sold it off, and established a micro-lending program in his country. Then, when the vulture financiers and J.P. Morgan, Citibank, and the rest of the gangsters, then the banksters, told Argentina, you have to sell us your water companies, your electric companies, your oil companies, everything, because you're busted. Chavez said, no, you aren't. I'll lend you the money. He bailed out. He lent the money to save Argentina, which is now booming. He lent the money from Venezuela oil reserves to Brazil, which is now booming, to Ecuador, now booming, and now to Bolivia.
And he also blocked all those regional governments. I mean, when he was at first in 14 years ago, I said, I don't like socialist guys in red shirts that like Hugo Chavez, but I said, if he doesn't act like, you know, Fidel Castro or other communists, he'll be the first communist or socialists that actually redistribute stuff to actual poor people from robber barons, who I get most of the time ended up stealing it through fake right-wing consolidation deals. But that's one evil to another. My issue is I know people from Venezuela personally who would have like a small factory that, you know, had like 20 employees and made 10,000 pairs of shoes a year, that they would, you know, that finally now they would nationalize and just basically let friends of the government, you know, all wear their red shirts in. Or people that had private schools that, say, had 100 pupils being told what they had to teach. And I guess they call that accreditation here. My whole issue is, didn't Chavez get more and more authoritarian as the years went on? Or do you think I'm wrong as a Chavez expert?
You know, look, I've known him for many years. Well, and I would agree with that. And I'm not happy about that.
No, you criticized him the last few years.
And I think that one of the things is, though, that the one thing he did keep a commitment to, and which is the ultimate, which is that you count all the votes. And he did lose one vote, a major vote, to change the Constitution when he overreached, when they were trying to change the Constitution, basically control small business. And he lost by 0.5%, and he accepted that decision. And when, you know, dictators don't lose by 0.5%. Ask the dictators in Florida and Ohio. And so, you know, so he at least kept to the most important promise of democracy, which America has yet to accept. Let's count all the votes. I didn't agree with any of those other things. The other thing is that he took from the rich, he took from the oil companies, gave to the poor. The thing is that, of course, there's still a battle. What about that small middle class of Venezuela? And so they were getting squeezed. And one of the problems is a lot of his followers thought, well, let's go after the small shop owners. Let's go after small factory owners. Those people need to survive to keep any big nation going. The problem is that they got caught up when Chavez went after John Kerry's ketchup plant, the monster ketchup plant that Heinz has with its plantations in Venezuela. He nationalized that plant. And that's why Senator Heinz, I guess he still calls himself Senator Kerry, the billionaire of the Heinz family, Heinz ketchup emperor. So he doesn't like Hugo Chavez. But unfortunately, there's a big difference between a multi-billion-dollar multinational monstrosity like Heinz abusing its workers and some small guy who's really trying to get along and can't pay that.
Sure. Well, I mean, what happened is obviously more right-wing middle-class people were in political fights, and so when the socialists took over, they get aggressive and start taking everything. And my point is that's what always happens, and that's why you trade out one evil for another. Hey, let's not give $85 billion a month to you know, Warren Buffett and all these people. And then there's stuff like Warren Buffett killing the pipeline down into Texas from Canada that I know had its own issues, so that they could then ship it by train. My whole point is it's not all lovey-dovey like the left says. It's all a business plan with a bunch of mafias fighting for each other, and that leads us into the Koch brothers. What's the real skinning? And we're going to break here in a few minutes, and then come back and talk more about them. Why is the system going after them? I mean, I know they're on, Cold Springs Harbor Eugenics Board and stuff. I mean, I get that, these guys are serious business, but the oil companies went after him when their dad actually self-made it, so he kind of started, and then he was anti-communist. What's really going on with the Koch brothers?
First of all, they're not Republicans, as many liberals believe. David Koch was going to run for governor of Kansas as a Democrat. The Koch brothers started an organization called the Democratic Leadership Council with a $100,000 donation, creating politicians that you'd never heard of before, Bill Clinton and Al Gore. These are guys that were created by the Koch brothers, okay? So the idea that they're somehow Republicans and anti-liberal, that's nonsense. They are pro-Koch. They are multi-billionaires. The two, David and Charles, are worth about $50 billion together, and their other two brothers are worth about another $10 billion. And so that's a lot of cash, and they don't think it's enough. So there's a huge, huge fight within elite circles. And you have to understand how and I think that your listeners can understand that. And it's not Democrat, it's not Republican. This election, the Koch brothers went all Republican. Before they went Bill Clinton and Democrats. They backed Bob Dole. And they created Bob Dole. So I remember that race in '96. They literally backed both candidates with massive amounts of money, as did Archer Daniels.
Again, the more research I do, that's the more I find, and I'm glad you crystallized it. I made my point that they still have American infrastructure that certain parties that are offshore want to shut down, and that's where the fight is. And I think for America's strategic interest, just having cheaper energy. I mean, I certainly don't think they should have all their holdings shut down only so foreign holdings are worth more.
Well, the thing is that at the moment, the XL pipeline is all about the fight between the Kochs and Chavez. And we could discuss that after the Chavez.
Yeah, let's come back. You can give us, because I know you know all the inside scoop here. It's not grasping in the dark here. We're getting the real info. So there you go. I'd forgotten I knew that. Yeah, the Kochs created Bill Clinton. I tell you, man. Man, we're in a lot of trouble. But knowing is half the battle. Doesn't G.I. Joe say that? We got Greg Palast a little bit into the next hour, and then Mike Adams is going to be in studio with us here on this Friday edition. I should also plug that it's already Friday. I just said it's the Friday edition. I thought, is it really? And I look back down at the atomic clock. Yeah, it's Friday. Weeks go by like, well, you know that, like seconds now. It's just bam, 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 bam. You're born, you grow up, you get married, you have kids. They grow up and have kids. You're an old man. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. Life's an adventure, man. I love it. It's all part of the adventure, living and dying, being born, going through the world and going out of it. And all I want to do is leave a better place for future generations, because I know I'm part of the human continuum. I'm an individualist, but I also understand the beauty of the collective. The collectivists say they're collectivists. They're not real collectivists, because it's the individual that is the cell within the larger collective. And I don't want to be cancer cells. By the way, Greg Palast has also written books and is an expert on Monsanto, who now publicly wrote a law that gives them liability protection from everything. They are co-emperor with Obama now. And so finish up with the Koch brothers, and then let's get a little bit into Monsanto ahead of Mike Adams coming in with the Monsanto Protection Act next hour.
Okay. Alex, yes, actually, like I said, my latest book, Billionaires and Ballot Bandits, which has the subtitle, Karl Rove, the Koch Gang and Their Buck Buddies. So the thing about the XL pipeline is that it would bring in Canadian tar sands oil all the way from Canada down to Houston and the Gulf Coast. Now, why, as you know, being in Texas, they have a little bit of oil in Texas. Why aren't we using Texas oil in Texas? The answer is that in Corpus Christi, there's a monster refinery which is owned by Koch Industries. And that can only handle super heavy oil. And there's only two sources. There's Canada and there's Venezuela. Venezuela right now charges about $101 a barrel. Canada charges about $33 a barrel less. The Canadian oil is a lot filthier, about 5 times as full of sulfur per barrel. And so it's really...
To be clear, it's one of the biggest distillate factories in the United States.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so it's really simple. The XL pipeline is not about being free of foreign control, because Canadians aren't our control either, or Venezuela. Venezuela's not going to cut off our supply. It's about saving about $2 to $3 billion a year for Koch Industries. It's the biggest private company in America. There's no shareholders. It goes right to the two brothers' pockets and their couple of partners.
But still, there was a winners on the other Gangnam style, because it does go to Berkshire Hathaway now.
That's right. So what happened is that Berkshire, that is Warren Buffett, bought up rail lines. And everyone's saying, who buys rail lines anymore? the oil they're still going to move the oil from Canada, but starting from South Dakota, they're moving it by rail, by tanker car. So for the first time, you have a massive, massive increase in rolling stock use in America. So the railroads are coming back. So the idea is that now, remember, we used to have, 150 years ago, was a war between the ranchers and the railroads and the farmers. Now it's between the railroads and Koch oil. And so Chavez...
Because that's right, because Koch's in trucks.
Right. Now, Koch wants the XL pipelines because they're going to pipe it down. They don't want to pay Berkshire Hathaway. They don't want to pay Warren Buffett. Now, so now you know why suddenly Warren is cuddly with Obama and the Kochs are cuddly with the Republicans. It's about the oil. It's about their money. It's about the cost. And it's not that they don't like the Venezuelan government that they think because it's socialist. Believe me, if Venezuela cuts the price of their crude to $80 a barrel, suddenly they're not going to worry if they're socialists or Nazis or from outer space. They'll love the Venezuelan oil. So
they're purely Machiavellian. That's what David Knight says in his research, is that they're just purely Machiavellian.
And then you got Monsanto again. A switch hitter. Hillary Clinton's career was hugely backed by Monsanto Corporation.
Let's talk about that when we come back with Greg Palast. 5 more minutes. Impressive. Most impressive. Don't act so surprised, Monsanto. You aren't on the mercy mission this time. Several pesticide biopharmacological crops were sent to this system. I want to know what happened to the tumors they grew. All right, being a little goofy here, Greg Palast, I'm writing that in my head as we go along there. Actually, I should do Autobot stuff. How about this? Autobots? Let me do it better. Transform and roll out. All right. I really want to do voiceovers. I've done a lot of voiceovers. It's fun. I've done national TV, movie voiceovers, you name it. I don't have time to do it, though. I'm sorry. Greg Palast is here. Mike Adams is coming in. And I'm in a good mood today, which I guess is a good thing. Greg, in the 4 minutes we've got closing, introing Monsanto, what's their bottom line? What's their goal? And what does the Monsanto Protection Act signed by Lord Obama mean?
Well, your children might have extra eyes. And I'm very, very worried about this because the Guardian newspapers of Britain asked me to investigate Monsanto after I got a number of documents in which the FDA was sending secret treaty material to Monsanto, confidential material, and Monsanto was getting inside information. This was being done by the Clinton administration. And then I found out that the FDA is basically a subsidiary of Monsanto. It's a massive revolving door, so that those running the FDA go in and out of Monsanto. They're very, like I say, they're very close to Hillary Clinton. And so I looked up what Hillary was up to. She goes to Africa, and everyone says, oh, isn't it nice? She, puts on the African headdress, and she's all concerned about making sure that these poor Africans get to eat. Now, I was in the Congo. The Congo doesn't need any help. It's a very, very fertile place. It doesn't need special seeds. It doesn't need our help. It just needs us to stop killing people there and taking their diamonds. They'll do fine feeding themselves. But what did Hillary Clinton do? When she's in Africa, when the cameras are off, she says, okay, we're going to give you a lot of food aid. What the food aid is, you're going to buy GMO seeds from Monsanto. In particular, they push Roundup Ready seeds. Now, Roundup Ready from Monsanto means that these are seeds which are resistant, supposedly, to the pesticides, Roundup, which you buy from Monsanto. In other words, you get their seeds, but if you get their seeds, which the U.S. government gives you, they're no good to you unless you also spend a massive amount of money on their pesticide, Roundup. So you have to buy the package, and you have to buy it every year. So instead of making Africa food independent, we're making them completely Monsanto dependent. It's not about feeding Africa. Africans have lots of land, fertile land, lots of things to eat. Okay, the problem is civil war, the problem is theft, the problem is corruption. What they don't need is a bunch of seeds and chemicals from Monsanto. It's not, again, so the Hillary Clinton Africa food program was about feeding Monsanto, not about feeding Africans. There's nothing to do with that. And now, if it really fed them, would that be a good idea? If it were safe, would it be a good idea? Well, I got some other documents. Monsanto sells a hormone called BST. BST is used to increase the amount of milk produced by cows. Sounds good, you know, we'll have more milk, same cow. Sounds like a deal. You just shoot the cow with this stuff. Problem, after a while, in the tests that Monsanto itself ran, they were finding after 6 weeks that the cows were beginning to, that there was pus in the cow's milk. The cows are getting udders, tumors on their udders.
That's okay. You just radiate the milk and boil it and pasteurize it, triple pasteurize, and make it the law so you can sell blood pus milk to people. What's wrong with that?
Well, the problem with that is that Monsanto, if they told us they were doing that, that's one thing. But what Monsanto did when they went to the FDA to get approval, they knocked off all the test data after 6 weeks. So the cows look fine. For the first 6 weeks, they're just producing a lot of milk. The tumors don't, the pus doesn't show up, the tumors don't show up for 6 weeks. So they lopped it off the test. And when 2 scientists in Britain were reviewing their data, and they said, well, what's all this extra data on this disc that you gave us? Monsanto sued these guys for theft of intellectual property and said that they would sue them under Britain's terrible libel laws if they released Monsanto's own testing.
I'll tell you what, I've got Mike Adams coming in, but I want you to finish that and have bookends and have him talk about it. Let's get Mike Adams in here. Only I can introduce and interrupt my own intro. That's because I get so calm on air. That's a problem I have. It's just like, I've been on air and TV so much, Mike, that I can walk up to a crowd of 5,000 people and not even get butterflies. I can have people say, we're coming to your event to kill you, and I don't even get upset. I actually don't like it. What do you call that? Just like, it's weird.
I don't know. I remember the first time I hosted for you, I was nervous as heck. And now it does feel normal. It feels more like a duty than than anything else.
I think that's why we're not nervous. We hate the enemy and we love freedom.
And I think you and I, none of us really want to be doing this. I mean, we'd rather be doing something else.
Exactly.
But we feel a need to do this because we have to answer.
That's what we've got over the enemy. They've got a bunch of teleprompter reading narcissists. And we've got people that really want liberty.
That's right. That's right. We want to win so we can go home with our families and be on our farms and mind our own business.
Did you hear me play part of that Charlton Heston speech where he says, the farmers are the first to smell the stench of tyranny?
Oh, I didn't hear that today.
Well, I'm going to play it later.
Okay.
We've got Greg Palast, speaking investigative journalist, just finishing up from the last hour. He was telling the story about Monsanto and covering up what their hormone was doing to the cow milk and how it was giving them tumors and stuff. And then when the scientist actually, who they'd given the data to, found that it wasn't all erased off the disk, even though it was supposedly the test, when they were found to be fraudulent, they threatened to sue them and go after them for libel. That's like when they infect your crops, and you've got proof you bought regular seeds, but their stuff got into your deal. Because, it's not like one mommy, one daddy with plants, for those that don't know. It could be 1% Monsanto's pollen that got into your corn or soybeans. The courts are owned by them, and now they have liability protection, do whatever they want. They are God. So in closing, and that's why Mike Adams has come in today with his lovely wife, the doctor, and he, of course, is the health ranger of naturalnews.com, but I wanted you guys to be able to talk. Have you guys ever talked together?
No, but I'm a huge fan of Palast and his work, and I've heard his interviews on your show, and he's been right on. I mean... Absolutely.
So just in closing, Greg Palast of gregpalast.com, BBC, ABC News, investigative journalist, former federal fraud investigator. Everybody knows Mike Adams. Everybody knows you. Finish up your story on Monsanto and tell me where their end game is with Obama's Monsanto Protection Act.
Okay, I'll make it quick because I got to jet out of here.
I know you got to go.
I should say if you go to gregpalast.com, type in Monsanto in the search engine, you'll find my investigative reports, which are not in America, only in The Guardian and throughout Europe. And one of the businesses that they buy themselves sick political protection, and it's not just this new national law. The World Trade Organization rules require what is called harmonization. Now that sounds nice, like a barbershop quartet. What it means is that no nation who's a member of a World Trade Organization, can restrict products that are on a list that has been created by the World Trade Organization.
So it's global corporate governance, circumventing the national and sub-state systems. It is imperial conquest.
Well, if it's supposed to be protecting us by saying these are the safe products. The problem is that the list, as I found out, was illegally sent to Monsanto. Monsanto actually put their own people on these committees.
No.
Which to make
That's all they do.
To make sure that their products are on without the testing, and while they were hiding the information on the testing, that this stuff gives you tumors. Look, I don't have a particular.
But what's wrong with that? Everybody gets one now. I mean, children, it's normal to have a 3,000% increase in pediatric, or is it 10,000? It's 10,000. Breast cancer is 3,000. What's wrong with that? You're an extremist. You got to thank Monsanto. In fact, that's patent infringement. When you grow that tumor and you die, they should take your entire estate because you stole their genetic material.
That's right. You stole their tumor. But this is what we're doing. In other words, always look out. As soon as someone, as Hillary Clinton starts telling you that we are feeding those poor Africans, what we're doing is that we are hooking their economic system into a dependence on Monsanto. And I heard a Monsanto guy on something on the petroleum broadcast system say, well, we sell these genetically modified seeds so you don't have to use terrible pesticides. He doesn't tell you that Roundup Ready soy, the whole point of it is that you can dump tons of their pesticide on it, and supposedly safely.
Yeah, but what about all the BT stuff where it grows its own pesticide?
Yeah, it is so.
Here's
like the problem.
We have to plant the safe zones so the bees don't all die. We have to plant other corn for the bees, and then because they get hungry and eat the poison corn and die, but we're supposed to eat it.
You know what? It's not an exaggeration. It's not hysterical to say that Monsanto is in the cancer for profit business. And I'm sorry that I see Democrats and Republicans. It's just the right pocket or the left pocket, but they're still in the pocket.
Well, in closing, yeah, Bill Gates is on their board. So is McDonald's. It's all, and then he's in the whole cancer business. I mean, this makes perfect sense. They're making money coming and going.
Go to gregpalast.com, get the films, and type in Monsanto. Thank you for bringing this up. I have to listen to MSDNC to know what my betters are telling me to think about today.
All right, good job, and thanks for coming on with us, extremist.
Bye.
And you may be sued for stealing tumors. All right, Mike Adams, I think that's actually, I shouldn't give Monsanto ideas. They own all the cords. Maybe that's going to be the new thing, Mike Adams, is that...
Yeah, I mean, tumors replicate, therefore... they do violate the patents on the cancer viruses that are in the vaccines as well as. But look,
so maybe you go to jail.
Yeah.
When they give you a vaccine, you die of cancer. That's theft.
Well, right now, 20% of the human genome is owned, according to the U.S. patent.
No, that's why I meant it.
By universities. So when you have children, you are technically in violation of patent.
No. In fact, I want to officially predict, this is not dark satire, that they will start going and testing and even telling you, we gave you cancer, but you'll be too dumb to know that from the fluoride, and now we're going to charge your estate for the patented cancer we gave you.
You're right.
No, I'm serious.
But look, I brought you...
They already charge you while they're killing you.
This is non-GMO, grown in the USA.
I know, we eat it and we sell it. It's like candy.
This is going to be in your store. We're working with Weldon right now. Have you tasted it?
Yeah, it's like candy.
This is real food. This is real food. We don't have to eat cancer-causing GMOs. And everybody, I was giving it to your
terrorism
crew out here, and they were loving it. They were like...
terrorism.
I think CJ was like, pour milk on it, make cereal out of it.
Yeah, why does it taste like candy? I didn't even know corn was like that.
It's super sweet corn with no chemicals, no fillers, no excipients, none of that.
So it's like old corn.
It's like the way your grandparents used to grow corn. This is real food.
I heard that women once breastfed.
It's a myth, you know. And also, another thing is that I brought you, this is from our farm. My wife.
Unradiated? Is that illegal?
These are chicken eggs from free-range chickens fed a non-GMO diet and a non-soy diet.
That's pretty extreme.
Most delicious eggs. So what I demonstrate.
Unfortunately, we're not selling those on the shopping cart.
I know. They wouldn't make it through shipping. But we got to get back to real food, Alex. That's the answer.
According to you, an extremist.
Well, a patriot.
No, a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, right.
If you go to all the Monsanto studies where the rats and guinea pigs get giant tumors when 3 generations are sterile and totally deformed, it doesn't matter if it's true. I say conspiracy theory.
Well, then I suppose it's true, because I do believe in another technology called aquaponics also, which is a decentralized, self-replicating,
Oh, that's evil.
peer-to-peer food production technology.
Oh, my gosh.
That is the answer to globalist centralized food system control. So I want to urge...
Tell folks about those evil greenhouses with the fish.
Aquaponics grows food and fish together. The fish provide the fertilizer for the plants.
Terrorist.
Your medicine and your food. The plants clean the water of the fish.
Terrorist.
So you're producing protein, fish oils in the fish,
Terrorist.
vegetables, herbs, and medicines all together with no soil, and 1/10 the water of traditional agriculture.
This sounds pretty extreme.
Yeah, and it could be the answer to feeding the resistance, Alex. See, look at what the government's doing with...
Get out of here. You're extreme. I'm serious. Guys, shut his mic off.
Look at this.
No. I watch the followers or the following, and anybody that talks about freedom is a serial killer.
Resistance fighters in the info war or any other type of war for freedom, they got to eat. How do you grow food? You do it in secret aquaponic...
You grow tumors from McDonald's food and you eat your tumor.
It was aquaponics.
You grow tumors on your back. Maybe Monsanto could create a genetic engineering where you grow tumors that pop out your back and you eat them. Like you could grow McDonald's hamburgers out of your back. They can do that, you know, with the pharmacological crops.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like the GMO rats with all those tumors.
Well, no, you could drink Pepsi. You drink Pepsi with fetal tissue.
Cells, yeah. Beautiful.
And then you eat the tumors that grow. Maybe like little dead, rotten babies pop out.
Like McTumor ribs.
McTumor
sandwiches, a little barbecue flavor, a little, I don't know, what that silly putty chemical that they have in the nuggets.
You can tell I've gone over the rainbow here, over the mountain today due to the overload of insanity.
Yes.
When we come back, what are you going to break down with the Monsanto?
Right. Well, the Monsanto Protection Act, that's our name for it, but it was signed by Obama, which means, importantly, that Obama is now willing to betray progressives. He's betraying the left.
Never.
Who are really into food, right, and really into anti-corporations, anti-Monsanto, GMO labeling.
A lot of Obama does it, though. They like poor people having their taxes raised when he said he wouldn't.
He's losing his own support base now in a huge way. I've never seen such an outcry as this against Obama signing the Monsanto Protection Act. So now people are waking up in record numbers and saying, wow, if he's going to side with Monsanto and not stand up for GMO labeling or safe food and safe ecological impacts of these GMOs, then what does Obama stand for at all if he doesn't stand for safety?
But when I watch cop shows, almost every episode they have terrorists that are against Monsanto. Even though that's not real, I think I'm going to keep eating Monsanto, and I think I'm going to keep supporting Obama because I don't want to be a terrorist. Because TV shows, fantasy shows said it was... I mean, and that's not creepy to have every show demonizing liberty lovers. I mean, that doesn't mean we have a bad government or there's propaganda. It means we're in a good country.
I guess. I mean, I haven't watched TV in so many years. I'm afraid if I turned it on, I would freak out.
Believe me, if you turn it on, we are living in a freaking lunatic. I mean, listen. The propaganda is like cartoon satire level. I mean, I've read stuff that famous satirists and people wrote like in the 70s and 60s, and it's 20 times that. I mean, we're living in cuckoo Fruit Loop land. Stay with us. All right, I was having a little bit of fun there, and it's not fun. It's more like gallows humor. But Mike Adams, the health ranger, is here. I'm telling you, the leader in health in this country, more and more. I mean, but in the past, you could say you were probably the #2 guy under Mercola. And Mercola does a great job. I just think you're more hardcore. So it's very exciting to see. I mean, you've been huge for a decade, but you're really exploded there, and that is very exciting. And it's great to have you living here in Austin.
I'm very uncensored. You know, I really admire what Mercola has done over the years and all the others out there. But I really like guys like you. And people like Ronnie Cummins of Organic Consumers, even though politically he's a little different from you and I, but he's got courage. He goes out and bullhorns people in the middle of the trade show. No,
it's time for humanity to rise up and say it's over. Okay, yeah. We're not eating your bioweapons.
Yeah, I just admire people who have backbone. It's like you were saying the other day. You know how people are getting eaten by coyotes. You know, coyotes are scared to death of humans. All you got to do is stand up and growl, And
no, because in no history have they ever eaten humans.
Until now.
People fall down and roll because they've been...
I just don't get it.
911, 911.
Yeah. I don't get it. I don't get what is this infatuation with calling 911 and not being able to...
What is the infatuation with, like, groveling and being weak?
I don't get it.
They think if you become a man or a woman and get strong, that's scary because they're tapping into all that ferocity.
You know, I just figure, because you and I both, we believe in the afterlife, we believe in the existence of the spirit and the soul. If we were to die tomorrow, we know that our life was lived with purpose and we didn't back down against evil. We stood up to it, and that's a life worth living no matter how many years are involved. Period.
And we don't do it because we're on a power trip. We do it because we're tuned in. I mean, it's just you just do it. It's not even courage. People are always, oh, thanks for your courage. And I don't say I don't have courage to sit there and act like I'm self-deprecating. It isn't courage, folks. It's that I'm alive.
Yeah, I mean, like you, I have to hold myself back from saying more sometimes.
Exactly.
The normal default operation mode for me is to blow the whistle, warn people, tell the truth, you know, and also innovate, create abundance where possible, spread the word about things that work, health and medicine and so on. But blowing the whistle on things that are bad, that's just my natural state of existence. I can't hardly hold that back, and I don't think we should. But speaking of that, you know, Monsanto Protection Act, a big deal. I know that. I think that's why you wanted me.
Yeah, let's get into that.
About that. I always like to bring props and things when I come in because
you bought Obamnium last time.
Yeah, that's right. And your son had a heyday with that.
It helps turn a female senator into a gargoyle.
A female gargoyle into a U.S. senator.
Ah, I couldn't tell the difference. Hey, have you seen the new? Have you seen the new magazine?
Marco's handed it to me back there, but I haven't had a chance to flip through it. What's?
Well, no, it's a.
There she is, Senator Feinstein, as a. Oh my gosh! Please don't show me that again. She's dressed in lingerie with a devil tail. What's that on her hip there? What is that?
It's a gun.
Is it a gun?
It's Betty Page with her head on it.
Oh my!
And it says, "Hi, I'm Senator Dianne Feinstein, and I love liberty. April Fools." We just did it as a joke. I mean, and people go, "Oh, it's a lady." I mean, it's a full body bathing suit basically. So it's like 50s.
It's like her neck is stitched together like a Frankenstein.
Yeah, it's a joke. It's a joke. Deal. They don't like being made fun of, so there you go.
No, humor is the best way to go after them.
I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
Tell us what you're going to cover when we come back in the next long segment, because you've got a whole breakdown of the Monsanto Protection Act.
Well, yeah, I'll give you the brief overview of the Monsanto Protection Act, just because some people are still out there denying it, just like they say there are no bullets, Alex. There are no bullets. Oh, and by the way, I have a great idea for your store. You should sell imaginary bullets for $1 billion because the government's buying that.
Exactly.
Yeah, just have imaginary bullets.
Because it's on the purchase site.
Shipping is free, man. Shipping is free. You can have imaginary bullets, imaginary armored vehicles.
Because they're buying them on the official government site,
that's right,
but they don't exist.
They don't exist, so you could sell those things.
Wait, that's how they're telling the truth. They're buying imaginary tanks. It's
all imaginary, and you could get in the business of selling imaginary hardware. It's very profitable, man. You don't even need to make anything. That's the whole new Obama economy. It's beautiful. Anyway, that was my idea for your store that I had.
I actually think that's an idea.
Yeah, sell imaginary bullets. Anyway, when we come back, how far? Oh, we got a few.
Just tell us what's coming on.
We're going to cover the Monsanto Protection Act, but mostly the backlash, the power of the internet, the power of independent media like InfoWars.
Of extremists.
To set the meme. The very name Monsanto Protection Act was created by the alternative media, the alternative activists.
Who launched the first torpedo?
I don't know who came up with that. I don't know. I tried to find it, but it was just too...
But no, the system's lost control of the whole narrative.
Yes.
So now they're just saying there are no drones, and like Gibbs said, the drones are real, there's a program, but I'm told say they don't exist.
Right, he admits it. They admit it. But anyway, we are winning.
You know, the Pentagon has 30,000 imaginary drones. I mean, they have them, but they don't exist.
You could sell imaginary drones, Alex.
We're on the march.
We've got the article up at Infowars.com, but I thought I'd go over to DrudgeReport.com because it's got the ridiculous photo of him there ordering the targets. Kim Jong-un, the third-generation dictator that grew up in the poshest private school in the world, probably in Switzerland, and is admittedly obsessed with all U.S. media about him and stars and Dennis Rodman. So we had to be treated with that. So I thought that was the most bizarre thing. But about a year ago, Paul Watson was sent by a doctor, the Journal of Bioethics, endorsing killing babies up to 3, including completely healthy ones. And, of course, now they're saying, yeah, let's kill old people. Well, now Planned Parenthood official publicly at a government board meeting arguing for right to post-birth abortion. See, because it's not a human being anyways. And folks, you're like, well, that seems crazy. How that? By the way, that's called murder. It's murder. But now they're saying, well, no. Peter Singer, the head of the bioethicist who said this 20 years ago, no. We'll decide if you're a human, period. And people don't know. I've had Wesley R. Smith on many times, Wall Street Journal writer. There have been thousands of people he's chronicled who are under government custody or paralyzed, neck down, begging for food and water, and they dehydrate them. So they use Terry Schiavo because they could argue, is she brain dead or not, to sell killing people they say are brain dead. They're killing them every day. I could open the phones up right now and have nurses call in going, yes, Mrs. Johnson's on the second floor begging for water, day 10. Blood is now dripping out of mouth because, you know, all the stuff cracks and it all goes to core organs. And so we saw this video. Planned Parenthood official argues for right to post-birth abortion. We're going to play that after we get into the Monsanto issue. But when you these are psychopaths, and now government and the corporations that control it, they want bigger palaces, more jobs, their minions want it. So they're saying, we kill people, we get that. A shrinking pie is what empowers us. But there's the video. We'll play it, Weekly Standard. And see, now we're the extremists because we don't want to lethally inject a 3-year-old baby that's totally healthy. They argue for that. Go ahead.
Didn't that other abortion doctor kill babies with a pair of scissors?
Yeah, and he's being defended. Well, it's racist. He was mainly black babies, and it's racist. He was black.
It's racist.
If you don't kill them with scissors, you have to stab them in the neck, or you're racist.
It's incredible. I mean,
by the way, we're not being joking here.
This is not a joke.
See, we were joking earlier about them lying, but it's all real.
But you could not come up with a better example of the demonic, the destruction of humanity, the satanic infestation of the human psyche. I mean, this is it.
I'm waiting for the Southern Baptist Convention to endorse this. They have endorsed taking our guns.
Yeah, why wouldn't they endorse it? But I mean, a baby is born. It's breathing. It's alive. It has consciousness. You know, it's looking around. And then to kill that baby and to argue for these people, Planned Parenthood.
Look, there's the headline. They say it's racist if you don't.
You know, that's clearly murder. That's murder, murder, murder. These people are murderers. And the other part is they want to kill us, Alex, for daring to blow the whistle on it, to tell the truth about it, to say, no, killing babies is wrong, therefore we should be killed.
And look at this, how weird and soft and piggy, like, you know, the woman who endorses it is. They all have this weird, soft look, and they get off on weird stuff. Like, we're going to get rid of babies after they're born. They're about to, yeah, we're liberal. I mean, it's just like, when does it end with these freaks?
But these are the same kind of people who are afraid of coyotes, who are, you know, afraid of a firearm, who, you know, they're soulless wimps. Their souls have been evacuated, maybe even replaced with something else. I'm telling you, Alex, I think there's more to this than just what we're seeing. I think there's some kind
Listen, my wife was in PETA and was one of the only ones, in fact, a book summary that I advised her not to do that got pulled was leaked to newspapers, and the whole thing about how they pressure them to adopt animals so they can inject them. And she told me stuff, and now it's all come out, and I said, no one will believe that. Because she was only there for like a year and a half, but like 6 months in, they said, well, you're going to the inner sanctum, which 1 out of 1,000 did. And I already knew about eugenics and all these people, but that's what she just said. She said they're basically demonic. And the stuff she described, and she got out of it, you know, because she was like within days of it. I mean, she was brought right into the top of it. She's the one that threw, you know, a raccoon on Anna Wintour. Or the lady from Vogue, she's the lady that that Rush Limbaugh talked for all the time. My wife, and I'm telling you, it totally woke her up. You know, I mean, she eats meat and stuff now.
Look at these mass shooters; they're always Satan worshipers. They have like a little.
My wife just wanted to save animals.
Well, right, I understand.
No, I know, but she got in there.
Up into this.
They're like, you must adopt animals so we can, and they would just, oh my God, I'm not going to even say it.
But at what point does this demonic entity sort of take over someone's psyche? I mean, how does it happen?
Well, the test was, would they go adopt an animal? The Nazis had that, where they'd make the SS get a dog for like a year, raise it as a puppy, and then have to strangle it. And basically, that's what it was. She didn't even understand it. Now I understand what it was for.
Yeah.
Will you go adopt the dog, keep it for a month, and then lethally inject it in the office? Remember the cops, after they got this information, caught the guy throwing like 100 of them in a dumpster? that they've gone out and gotten. But the point is, I know I'm interrupting. It's just, I mean, you see this,
we need a nationwide exorcism.
This is demon force, yes it is.
That's what I'm saying. We need a nationwide exorcism. We need some kind of force of ultimate love, universal, like, I don't know, God, to come in.
Maybe we should have like a month.
Exorcise all the demons.
For like a month, have everybody pray on the air, like everybody for America to have the spirit of Satan lifted. Something's
got to happen. You know, I actually researched and did stories on afterlife experiences, and even one was a doctor. I know this wasn't the topic again, but he said that in his contact with the Creator in the afterlife, which he came back from, he said that Earth was set aside as the place with the most evil because it was a testing ground. That's what he said.
No, every culture who don't even have that cosmology, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
The guardian angel, all of it.
So doesn't that mean our role as spiritual beings is to stand up against evil as a test of who we really are? I mean, that's the goal. If you don't live a life standing up to evil, then you fail. You failed.
Well, it's like the Stanford prison studies where 90+% would kill subjects if ordered to by the professor.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, torture them to death.
And that's what this planet is. Yeah. Will people take orders from Satan?
And apparently they will. But anyway, getting to...
but I mean, now we've got to kill the baby or you're bad. I mean, you're not want to kill a 3-year-old baby? What's wrong with you?
it's insane. Do you want to get...
Yeah. I mean, because they're partially aborting all of us right now with the GMO. Get into it.
Well, that's the thing. But look, Obama signed it. And Rappaport did a good article on that saying that, well, Obama didn't know what he was signing. Well, what does that mean? If he didn't know what he was signing, does that mean we have a president who accidentally signs anything that's put in front of him? We have an accidental president?
And Rappaport hates Obama. I didn't read his article. He thinks it's an accident. I don't think so. Obama does whatever, he just does whatever he's told.
Well, exactly. No, Obama was saying that that's the excuse that other people are putting out there. But look, Senator Roy Blunt sat down and wrote this rider, Section 735, the Monsanto Protection Act rider. He wrote that with Monsanto's attorneys. So senators were conspiring to it. And then Maryland Senator Barbara Mikulski, she was the head of the... That
woman looks like a demonic Muppet. Like, if they, I'm going to tell Hollywood something. If you did a demonic character like her that like at night grows giant fangs and eats children, let's put McCluskey up there. I mean, I'm sorry. She's a very scary lady.
Well, she was the head of the committee that allowed this to go in to kind of sneak attack this rider into the bill. So she snuck it in, and then the very next day, she's on her website celebrating a monument for Harriet Tubman, the American history hero of the Underground Railroad. I mean, come on, what hypocrisy. Tubman helped free people who were enslaved.
No, but they always do things to look good while they're...
But it's the exact opposite. Mikulski is enslaving people who were once free. She is the opposite of the heroes of history.
Exactly. Tell folks what it does.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. It gives Monsanto the power to override federal courts if the courts say that that crop, that GMO crop, is dangerous or that it might pose an ecological threat, for example, a runaway crop plague, a self-replicating genetic pollution disaster, and an agricultural apocalypse.
It shows they are above the national security grid. They are the government.
Monsanto can override the courts, period. The language is right here. They must be, quote, immediately granted temporary permits or temporary deregulation so that they can engage in continued cultivation and commercialization. Those are the words right out of the bill. So this is now handing over the power of the federal government to the biotech industry. This is fascism.
Well, I mean, that's what I was talking about with Palast earlier. That's what the World Trade Organization does. It doesn't create free trade where governments can, and people can agree to, not having tariffs. It allows them to make you buy their products. You can't say no, and they can force GMO onto your streets.
Well, look at the patterns here. Monsanto suing the farmers, like Greg Palast was covering there. Monsanto claiming intellectual property rights over seeds that replicate, claiming to own these seeds and any seeds that blow into your field, you're liable for too as a farmer. Monsanto's ultimate goal is to own the intellectual property of every food-producing seed and crop in the world.
And they brag, infect everything so you don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice. Also, if you grow GMOs, your soil is destroyed by the use of the herbicides and the insecticides that are grown in the crop, your soil is destroyed, and it will take roughly a decade to recover to grow healthy plants again without the use of all those chemicals and GMOs. So they're destroying the farmland.
And so it's our patriotic duty to get into gardening. And I've thought about this in Europe. They plant on the highways or, you know, in areas. I think everybody should get heirloom, non-GMO seeds, you know, that produce seeds the next year. That's why you can't get the hybrids. And start aggressively planting them everywhere. I had this epiphany yesterday that I'm going to launch an operation to get the best, least expensive non-GMO seeds and have people not just plant a garden, but go around on the highways and byways and buy old railroad tracks and wherever and just plant them. And a lot of it will end up growing up and living and then reproducing. And I just had like this, almost a vision that it's like how we will attack their bioweapon wave by Johnny Appleseeding other things. Fruit trees, you name it.
Yes.
Weaponize it. We're going to counter-weaponize. Destroy them.
You've nailed it. Also, because think about right now, a lot of people have purchased firearms and they've purchased ammo and they've got all that stockpiled, but they haven't figured out a way. And they may even have some food stockpiled, but that's not self-replicating food. A seed is a self-replicating natural nanotechnology that produces food.
We can talk to farmers that create a battle plan of where to plant stuff.
Well, absolutely, and the basic idea is plant it everywhere you can.
And you know they're going to try to chop them down, too.
But ultimately, the government is going to say, if you want to eat, turn in your guns.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So how we beat them is just farming and chickens everywhere.
Because even these people who have firearms and ammo, where do they get their food? They still go down to the grocery store. That is still...
Yeah, so you have storable food until you go and work at a co-op with a farmer. Come and help them. Learn how to do it with them. I mean, you don't have to have the land to do it. You've just got to reach out and turn off your television. The power of 7 billion humans will crush the enemy. If we all just put a little bit of force together, it's an unstoppable force.
This gets to aquaponics again. You can covertly grow food inside using aquaponics. No soil needed. You don't even need sunlight if you're willing to buy the electricity for the lights. But you can grow fish protein. You can grow medicinal herbs that can help you survive a plague. You know, when they release the bioweapons, how are you going to live through that?
Well, it was people in the country that had the wives' tales who hadn't been exterminated, being called witches, who knew the herbs to live. And that's why the Renaissance is it wiped out all the decadent, corrupt bureaucrats and people, and only the farmers were left. That caused the Renaissance.
Right, and you can grow medicine at 3 times the speed in an aquaponic system versus you growing it in soil. In a very compact amount of space, you can grow a lot of food. This is going to be key. And actually, Alex, I'm building an aquaponic system. I'm going to put it on film. I'm going to share the how-to and everything. I've been researching this for a long time. This is key.
No, I knew you told me about it a while back. Very terrorist.
I mean, you got to have self-defense, obviously. You got to defend yourself.
Terrorist.
But eventually, you got to eat.
Terrorist.
And you got to be able to eat without depending on a centralized control system.
So what do we do? What do we do about this? What do we do about this bill? I mean, don't we go for a move to repeal it just like Obamacare?
Well, absolutely we do. But I also think that there's, how long can this entire system of insanity last? You know, how long is the U.S. government as we know it going to exist? I don't know the answer to that, but I have a feeling that all of these ridiculous laws that they're putting into place, like this one, are going to be irrelevant within a few years because of bigger changes. Oh,
I agree. And that's why they're running around buying all the weapons they can while saying we shouldn't have weapons, that we murdered the children at Sandy Hook, which was a clear false flag.
Yeah.
You know, people say no children died. No, they greased real kids. They like it. And not only does it make it more real, if they'll do Oklahoma City, 9/11, Fast and Furious, Gulf of Tonkin, of course they killed a bunch of real kids. Do they have some actors that back it up to put out their story? Yes, of course they did.
By the way, yesterday, the Associated Press reported, and I have a screenshot of this, they reported that, you know how the warrant came out, the warrant information for Adam Lanza, the supposed, the Sandy Hook shooter?
Yes.
Associated Press reported that they found a shotgun inside the glove box of a Honda Civic belonging to Adam Lanza.
Which just shows the total lot. They even have propaganda.
Insanity.
Well, no, their own operatives have never even been around guns and are so domesticated now that they say things that aren't. That's one thing. The enemy's technocrats, the globalists want such wimps under them that they're like toddling morons. And that's why I don't get, why are we letting such scum dominate us?
Well, but the good flip side of that is if DHS arms, let's say, all the TSA agents, and they try to create an instant army by putting guns in their hands, but people are going to shoot each other more than they're going to shoot anybody else. They don't know anything.
No, that's it. We're just following the orders of like pig vomit. I mean, it's like getting on the ground and worshiping vomit. I mean, these people are nothing.
They really are nothing. They don't count. They don't count in human history. They don't count in the eyes of the Creator. They are here as failed examples of failed souls that have no real future. They will be judged as failures, and whether or not you believe in reincarnation, some people do, some people don't, but if you do, it means they're going to come back as a toad or something to try again. You know, they are failures at every level, spiritual, intellectual, personal. They are failures. And we who stand for real justice in the universe, we are, and I'm not trying to sound arrogant, I'm just saying we're doing our duty, that's all. We're nothing big, we're just doing our duty to stand up for what.
Well, I mean, exactly. It's not some wonderful thing to stand up against saying, let's kill babies now after they're born. I mean, we always told you that was coming, that they're eugenicists. It's not about women's choices. Gay marriage isn't about not hating people. I don't hate anybody. It's about destroying families, folks. I mean, they say that. It's so there's no kids.
You can't say it's my choice to just murder my baby with a pair of scissors. That's not a choice. That's murder.
Exactly. But, I mean, all their agendas, well, I mean, you're an extremist. Killing babies is loving.
Apparently.
Now they're saying kill old people. That's loving. A little bit of overdrive with Mike Adams, who, you know, co-hosts the show sometimes. Hey, I'm not looking to take off time, but you want to come in here sometime next week, host show?
Yeah, sure, I'll host it for you. Yeah, you just.
I know you got like 5 companies and best-selling books and mammoth health food operations.
I can barely run my own life. I'm on the treadmill at midnight, man. My exercise window is from midnight to 1 a.m. now. It's that insane.
Yeah, me too.
It's crazy. But yeah, I'll host not Monday, but any other day.
No, let's do someday.
All right.
How about next Thursday?
That's perfect.
Perfecto?
Sounds good.
Magnificent?
I'll get it
The
right.
only way that I won't interrupt you, actually, it's a great banner we have back and forth. Most people think they're going to have like hour-long non-dialogues. Listen, everybody I talk to sees the otherworldly bizarreness, absurdist weirdness that's going on. And Billy Corgan, I agree with him, says, clearly the flashpoint's about to come. How do we get to the zombies and expose Planet Hoax to them?
I think the zombies have to experience some of what we're talking about before they wake up. Now, that's begun to happen in many ways, and a lot of people are waking up, but there's a resistance to reality in the minds of those who have been, you know, Obama worshipers or just sort of status quo defenders.
And once you buy into bad stuff, you've got to keep signing on like, yeah, I guess we should kill babies up to 3.
But you know, mostly what it is, Alex, is people care so much what their peers think about them. They are so socially tied to the idea of acceptance that they don't even dare mention your name or...
No, that's why they have videos where they just laugh for 5 minutes at Charlton Heston over nothing. People go, that's it, I want to turn my guns in. I don't want to be laughed at. I mean, maybe there's something wrong with us because I could care less what people think about me.
I'm the same way. I could care less. But that is a sense of ultimate freedom, and the ultimate pursuit of truth is to, number one, decide that you don't care what people think about you or say about you.
I only care about people that I'm intimate with, people that I'm friends with, because I've decided to love them, and then it's very painful when they fall to the demonic possession. You were talking about during the break. Have you seen it spreading? People are like turning into like little zombies.
Yeah.
Where they actually go, and they don't even know they're doing it. Have you been seeing that?
I mean, I haven't seen that in my own circle very much, but at large, yeah, that's definitely happening. I think, Alex, not only is there a spiritual invasion happening, but I also think something's happening on our planet with a lot of metals. I'm finding we're spending thousands of dollars on lab tests. This is going to be a big breaking story that we're the source, and I'll bring it to you when we have it. But we're testing arsenic levels, cadmium levels,
and vitamins and minerals,
and food, everyday food. There's a lot.
And the breaking news is, what percentage are you finding high levels in? You said it's astronomical.
It's certain foods have ridiculously high levels. Across the board, it's not that much, but if you eat certain things, you get spiked with a dose of arsenic, and arsenic will drive you mad.
And it's some stuff that health people are eating. What is it?
It is some stuff that health people are eating. I'm not prepared to reveal it yet, but let me just say this. Raw food vegans who are juicing, some of them have gone insane, and I've seen it personally because I used to be in that realm. They've gone insane, and now I know why. And
well, okay, it's just like tea. You shouldn't drink a lot of tea because it pulls fluoride out of the soil,
yeah.
Or you need to get tea that's grown in areas that don't have natural sodium fluoride.
Certain plants, like tea, will pull certain metals and certain chemicals into their structure. and some plants do it more than others, and some have more affinity to different metals. Also, metals have a different absorption rate based on the pH of the soil they're grown in. So some plants, such as blueberries, for example, have to be grown in more acidic soils. They will tend to take up more iron because iron is unlocked at more acidic pHs. Sorry, I don't mean to get...
Oh, so I shouldn't eat blueberries?
No, blueberries are great. You need that.
Well, listen, I know your report's coming out. You spent all the money, but what are some of the things you got to look out for?
You got to look out for things that come out of the ocean. That's the clue. The ocean's polluted.
So it's fish, seaweed.
I'll bring you the details later, but that's the clue for now.
All right, Mike Adams, stay there. I want to talk more on the other side about the Monsanto Worship Act. All right, Mike, we have really bantered back and forth here quite a bit. We've got the insane video the guys did queue up. I wanted to play this for you since you talked about it. It's up at drugsreport.com. It's also now at infowars.com. Video, Planned Parenthood official argues for right to post-birth abortion. And it breaks it all down. Pretty amazing here. Let's go ahead and play a clip from that.
You were in the committee room whenever I asked Representative Pigman the question about what happens in a situation where a baby is alive, breathing on a table, moving. What do your physicians do at that point? You're recognized.
I do not have that information. I am not a physician. I'm not an abortion provider. So I do not have that information.
Go ahead, sir. I understand that you're not a physician, but you do represent physicians who do perform this activity. And can you tell me what happens when a baby is alive on the table at that point? What do they do with the baby that is struggling to live? You're recognized.
I don't know, and as it's been referenced earlier, we don't know even how prevalent this situation is.
I don't know how else I can get an answer, Mr. Chairman.
Well, let's stop right there. It goes on and on and on, and then they talk about, well, yeah, get rid of the baby if we need to, or just leave it up to the parent. The point is, see, now you see the baby. They have to kill the baby up in the vaginal canal when it's that big. That's how they get it out. For those that don't know, people say, I don't want to hear this. Well, it's happening. When you see it, you turn against it. So they kill the baby right there. But a lot of times the baby comes all the way out, so they kill it or they put it in a bucket of water to drown. And people see this and freak out. Even the abortion people that aren't totally into Satanism, a lot of times the doctors are Satanists that's come out. And so what's happening here is they have a problem now because now it's outside the womb and they haven't changed the law yet. And so they're moving to change the law to go ahead and just kill babies up to age 3. That's what's being called for. Mike, and I think we should get behind this. We're liberal.
You know, look at the contradiction in the liberal philosophy on babies and children. Killing children at Sandy Hook, a tragedy.
Well, they did it. So, yeah.
But they will use that
exactly. That's
for their political gain. But killing babies that have just been born, they think, oh, that's totally okay. Totally okay. So at what point, I mean, you think about these, you can't even call them liberals. What do you call them, the radical left?
I call them demons masquerading as high and mighty people that sit like Moses on the mountain and tell us that they are our bosses. Authoritarian, snot-nosed cowards.
Pretty good.
Who've woven a spell on us, so we've bowed down to them and let them wreck society.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I always like your descriptions there. But
power-worshipping, sniveling scum. Control freak bastards. The forces of hell.
yes. But they don't value any lives of any children, or no matter whether they're just born babies or children in the schools. They would love more children to die in the schools because it would give people like Bloomberg more power.
Well, they've run all these shootings. We've caught them. Bloomberg was ready. It came out and they spun it. Well, of course he tweeted in 2 minutes after.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
Probably getting texted by the shooter. Yeah, the job is done. Go ahead, proceed.
Well, the cops even caught the guy in the shooter outfit and then said, no, that never happened, even though it's on video. And then we got the arrest level that got expunged.
Hey, what do you think the next big false flag attack is going to be?
I think they might kill 500 kids.
I think it might be a radiological attack.
Oh, I've been saying nuke. They're geared up. Nuke stuff. Say the Patriots did it.
Yeah.
And the lemmings will call. If Obama said kill all children under age 5, they're terrorists, liberals would feed them into garbage disposals.
I think they're willing to kill 1 million people.
I agree. No, they're getting ready for total death. And we're just here freaking out watching it happen.
No, and then at that point, somehow, we will still be wrong for warning people about it.
Oh, no, exactly.
It'll be our fault, they'll say, because we warn people about it and it's better to be ignorant. You know, why don't the radical left just do the post-birth abortions on each other?
Yeah, there's too many people. You guys can blow each other's heads off.
That's what they want. Let them do it to themselves.
Good job, Mike. Thank you.